right, let's do a cheers to the Snobies and Safe with Liquid Beer for the podcast.
We ride again.
I love you guys.
Careful, that cake's hot.
Check-in, come on, let's go. It's the AM Nasty Big Hello.
Hello!
It's Matt Static, AM Radio. It's the Coolbet Red Hot Nielson Show. Let's go. Everybody tuning in, even my wife.
Mommy likes too.
And those Macromella intros are cutting like a knife. Hey, it's Mitch texting in, he's your dealer for life. Let's crack a 6 o'clock and lager with some sirloin bites.
You're tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. How you doing this morning? Live from the Popeyes, Louisiana Kitchen Studio. It is Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, and Zacticum behind the monitors on this Happy Halloud Tombstone Tuesday morning. And a great show, lots to discuss on this August 27th. And according to my rough math here, 26 days away from Oilers preseason puck drop against the Winnipeg Jets. I'm not counting. I know you're not either, but lots to discuss today outside of hockey. And what's going on, Zach? Are we still live?
It was blurry. Yeah, no, we're still good. We're still good.
Are you keeping it on the wide shot though?
Yeah, I just did that, so now it's focused. Do you want me to keep it on the wide?
Well, it's my fantasy, my dark fantasy to have an entire show on the wide shot. Yeah, the old fisheye lens. But one of these days, maybe. I mean, you'd be maybe the kind of. I always say it to Trev, and he's not really too keen on the idea. But would you be keen on a fisheye show?
I would watch it. I would want to produce it.
Watch it. Yeah, well,
or set up the third or fourth or fifth camera. Like just change the camera angles so there's one in the corner, just looking over you guys.
Switch it up a bit.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Zach, you've been working hard. Of course, we've got a lot of things going on at ESTY over the next couple of weeks, and Zacticum as well as Matt Iwanek and the whole team working vigorously behind the scenes. So we appreciate his time again filling in for YouTube, Trev. And Joaquin Gage, I got to say, and first off, haven't seen you in a while, but congratulations. The new show, you and Hernan, it is going to be the hottest, both verbally and I think looks-wise as well in this city for sports talk.
Well, that's what I hear. I don't know who else is joining us, but no, good to have you back too, my friend. It was nice to wake up yesterday and hear your baritone voice in the morning again. It was fantastic.
My nasally screeds all over the air. It sucks spending... If I didn't have to take vacation or sick days or any of that, I don't think I hate missing time. You miss a day, you miss an hour, you feel like you're out of the loop, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's great to be back. Dustin Nielsen, obviously away today. He's on a bit of a business trip, so we wish him well with that as things continue to roll here at Edmonton Sports Talk. As mentioned, hell of a show. Lots going on in the sporting world, actually, for a late August. And again, the 2 weeks that I was gone, missed, Elks change ownership, PTOs left, right, and center. So again, missing time is never ideal. But again, lots going on yesterday in the world of sports. Little Oilers stuff as well we'll get to. And a jam-packed show as well. Let you know as well. The Nielsen Show, as always, though, brought to you by Southfort Chevrolet. Got the, and this is a great hat. Got this from the golf tournament. Daniel and Claire gifted me one of the, and it fits good. It's a mesh backing, not too big on the top, and I really like the hat. But if you want a hat, if you want to see Daniel, if you want to have a Nerf war at his dealership as well, southfortchev.com. Your go-to dealer for Silverado 1500s and heavy duties. You can check them out online or in Fort Saskatchewan. And this month's incentive is employee pricing once again. Save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban. Excellent stock available. They can personally vouch for the Tahoe. Skiing, hockey, accommodating all the car seats and strollers, that type of thing for the family. Save up to $14,000 as well on Silverado 1500s and HDs. If you choose not to take the discount, you can get 0% financing on select trucks and SUVs on approved credit. They got the options for you, and that's always a good thing. You can text anytime, 780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers Inbox. Of course, we got $20 to A&W on the line for Text of the Day today. And the Nasty Chat humming along as well. It's good to see. Everybody, Zach Attack, hi LT, hi Gager. Joel's checked in there. Matt Hyman said blurry for anyone else. I think, Zach, you got that covered, right? Bit of a delay on the Nasty Chat, but our quest for the 10,000 subs continues. I do believe I took a peek behind the scenes yesterday evening. A little over 100 left, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's getting there.
And we're doing just the, 10 subs today. Why not?
That's amazing.
A little bite off the elephant each and every day, each and every show.
I forget what was that. You and I in here. We were discussing the. It might have been you, me, and Dusty, but the plaques, the YouTube plaques. We looked into, and Trev
He's
got our
YouTube.
hopes up.
Yeah,
he's a YouTube guy. He said there was one at 10K, but it's not. It's 100K, and then a 500, and then a million. But
the get plaques, a ribbon for 10K.
They're pretty
buttons.
sweet.
But
let's get that thing up to 100,000 over the next couple.
Well, we will.
A nice plaque up there.
Once you and Hernan get on here, I mean that
maybe
shoot
that
right up the charts. I think
push the needle.
But again, if you haven't subbed yet, don't be one of those people waiting around. I know everybody wants to be the guy or gal to kind of push it over the top. But sub today. Maybe go to your folks' place or something like that if you can. A sister, a brother, a friend, sign them up on YouTube.
That's what I do.
Get them going. Exactly. Yeah. Grab their phone. I think Jasmine was doing that over the weekend as well, just taking people's phones and signing people up and subbing them.
Perfect.
So, yeah, anything we got to do to get there. And again, just a bite at a time, each and every show, each and every hour, each and every day. Loomis in the Nasty Chat says the D'Angelo garbage needs to stop immediately.
Oh, right away. Huh?
You're more of the Marvel. This is the Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones, correct? Type of thing.
Yeah.
How many baddies can we get on the team? We'll have more on that. Of course, Frank Saravalli speaking yesterday. And just to paraphrase, do you want good community guys or do you want to win a cup? You can only pick one, Gage. So
why not the Angelo stuff? Is it the off-ice stuff?
Well, it's the off-ice stuff, I think, primarily.
Yeah.
But in terms of PTOs, I mean, there's a collection of names that have been put out there. And take your pick. I mean, that Tyson Barrie guy seems like, to me, coming back, he's friends with them already. But do you need that type of defenseman, I guess?
He's still a pretty good player.
Oh, yeah. That's the debate, I think. Yeah,
but I mean, the Oilers, over the past few seasons, have brought in a few players that had, things haven't gone well off ice, I think. You look at Vander Kane, look at Corey Perry, and both those guys are, I think they're huge pieces of if the Oilers want to have success. So, yeah.
And say what you want off the ice, you're getting these guys, too, at a good deal, given, I guess, what happened. But, again, with Tony D'Angelo, not too old in the tooth, still can provide something on the ice worthwhile. And if it's at a PTO or whatever case, I mean, why not? Eh?
Yeah, look, I went to a lot of training camps. And one training camp I went to, after being at Edmonton's for a long period of time, and it was, back then, though, the Oilers training camps were fun. Like, everyone had a good time. It was competitive.
Everybody hair down, and kind of.
But I went to the Washington Capitals camp one year, and I was like, how do these guys win? Like, no one. Everybody hates each other. Like, it was a different vibe. And this is a team that just went to the Stanley Cup Finals the year prior. Like, you'd think it would be a tight-knit team. Like, I remember, I think it was like in the kind of cloakroom where everyone got changed in their practice facility. Someone had put their clothes next to Adam Oates' stall. And he didn't like that too much. He took all the clothes and threw it in the shower.
As long as it's in the walls of the room, I mean, it's not a Brandon Manning thing here where you're kind of like, I mean, that was bizarre in its sense. But I mean, if nobody within those walls has an issue with it, fans can crow and bite all they want, and you're perfectly able to as a fan. And yes, Loomis, this is just speculation. This isn't in the works or anything, but this is August 27. Have your say, D'Angelo, yay or nay. We'll have all these PTO defensemen. You can marry one, you can kill one, and you can, and we'll do that little game maybe later on as well. But have your say. And again, if what price do you put on winning? I guess that would be the question. And I guess if it were to work in the room, maybe that is the line. Maybe that is where you draw the line, Loomis. But we'll discuss more of that. Barry, Shattenkirk, Schultz name floating around there as well. So take your pick. And we will discuss further. As mentioned, Oilers-Jets, 26 days away, preseason puck drop. It's getting on. Well, I mean, and
split squad game, is it?
Waking up in the morning too, cooler. Like everything's starting to slowly
yesterday
but surely.
was different. Taking the dog for a walk yesterday morning, had to put the hoodie on. Like I got to the front door and it was like, ooh, that's brisk, baby.
Hoodie season is a good.
It's hoodie season. I like hoodie season.
Yeah.
It's nice. Like that nice hoodie that looks really good, but doesn't cut it once it gets too cold. It's a very short season. Some of my wardrobe right now. I
got a nice Southport Chevrolet one as well. Sweet. That I got hanging up there. A nice Coolbet and a little larger than your frame, which is nice. You can just kind of float around in there and relax.
And school starts this week too for the.
Well, that'd be it. And your children not kind of in that realm anymore?
One's out.
A post-secondary type of deal?
He's going to do a winter session, so he's making some dough right now, so he's liking that. But my daughter, right back into the swing of things at Skona, so she's all excited. Had one of her friends is going away to school at Shawnigan Lake, so they had a little party last night, a going away party for her, so...
I think U of A too. We're welcoming in students to the residencies and all that.
Yeah.
What is sophomore, junior? What's she kind of
junior?
Okay,
yeah. That's grade 11, isn't it?
That's exciting. Yeah, because you're freshman, sophomore, junior. Yeah.
I got it.
Well, you're away now. We hired Stan Bowman. Red says D'Angelo isn't below us at all. Well, you're right. It is kind of the recycling plant, and I'm not surprised or anything that the name is out there. And I mean, if he can play, he can play.
D'Angelo to the Oilers.
I'm your huckleberry.
Maybe, I don't know.
How lewd. If you got any tombstone, Gager is manning the buttons today, so do with that what you will. Text in, nasty chat as well if you got any requests for that. As mentioned, though, outside of the D'Angelo PTO murmurs, we did have a couple of ball games yesterday, the Danny Jansen Bowl of sorts, and I was talking to the boys in the Bear earlier, Yukon and Scott McCord, 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. You can check them out today, the little sports hit. They're wrestling nerds, as they are, and they kind of thought it was a bit of an NWO thing with old Jansen. He should have came out Hollywood, black and white, and then Wolfpack or something like that. I said he should have been lowered down from the Green Monster a la Sting with the bat, and the whole bit, but that as a baseball, that's one of those baseball purists. Ooh, what a day.
Oh, yeah.
A guy plays two teams and...
Well, speaking of wrestling, sad news that Psycho Sid Vicious passed away at the age of 63.
I didn't see that. I don't know. His son announced it, I think, on social media, but we were talking too, and I think the most memorable thing for me was that leg break later on, which you correctly said was like jumping down on two 2x4s or something with that.
He didn't seem like the most athletic athlete. You referred to him as looking at him, and especially when he did his interviews, it was like watching. It was like a pimple ready to explode.
Just touch it.
Oh my God, he was very, very entertaining wrestler. Some of that, and I'm watching the what's that behind the ring or whatever.
There's a couple different ones.
There's a few, and seeing him act normal was really weird.
I don't want it.
No,
I don't want it. I don't need that. But he, I mean, the intro music. Cutting some promos, walking down to the ring, and then a real good showman. And it's one of those things where, again, when this happens, you kind of you do go back into a bit of a rabbit hole type of thing, and look back and watch all these things. So if you got any Psycho Sid Vicious memories, I mean, share them with us today, and maybe we get a little wrestling style into the 3 questions too many later on. But
it's nice to have Boudreaux on today, just to reminisce. He'd probably have some vicious stories.
Pro wrestling analyst Bruce Boudreau, among many other hats that he wears. Rest in peace, Sid from Penner's Pancakes. Nice touch there. And if you got, again, any memories or anything like that, Sid Vicious stuff, again, to me, it's the leg break. I watched that live at my buddy's place, and I almost threw up. 780-218-9999. Jay is taking both, though, yesterday in the doubleheader to kick off a 4-game set from Boston. So getting in the win column, albeit late in the season, but Jay's 4-1 in the makeup game. And then I think it was, 7-2 later on. But another interesting 7-3 was the score. George Springer, though, you can have your Danny Jansen game. I'm going to look at George Springer because he hit his 9th homer and also his 17th. Yeah, 7th and 19th homers of the season on the same day. So it's one of those things again
weird,
where you can kind of
with the rain delay. Or
this is baseball.
Who was the player that played with both teams in the same game because of this? There was a Jays player that played for and got traded, so we played
the Jansen, Danny Jansen, Danny Jansen Bowl. So he was the one that. And again, I looking into that prior to the game gave me quite a headache. I know if it was an 0-2 count, things would have been different or whatever, but it happened. Here we are. Baseball celebrates. The Jays win again, and they move on. That series continues tonight from Boston. 5:10 first pitch. NFL news as well. Ceedee Lamb. How about them Cowboys? 4 years. $136 million deal, making him the second highest paid non-quarterback in the league. I know Rip City Step was asking about Ceedee Lamb yesterday. Actually, second highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, not just league. $38 million signing bonus, largest ever given to a wide receiver, and $100 million guaranteed. Jerry Jones, you've done it again, you brilliant bastard, hey?
Is Ceedee Lamb, I mean, I know he's a really, really good player. Is he worth...
Sometimes you got to, pay the piper, I guess, to kind of get things over. And when you got the Cowboys, I think for Ceedee Lamb, too, you can kind of bend the Cowboys over the barrel there, that Salvation Army red barrel that they got at the games. And Jerry Jones now, I mean, he needs to win. He'll sell his hands probably for a Super Bowl at this point. So
is it confessions today? Yeah. Well, should I save that for confession?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna just because
a tease.
A little tease. I guess I did. The only thing I've watched of the Dallas Cowboys lately is the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader documentary, which was fascinating.
You could put that on a loop in here, and I don't think anybody would really complain.
It was. That's not easy, man.
Well, it's not, and it's in terms of like cheer teams, and I mean that is your industry standard.
Oh yeah,
that is the
like they had the old cheer ladies come back, and they do is it Thunderstruck or an AC/DC song? Like it's been the same routine for decades.
Tradition.
Yeah, and it's year to year. Like even if you're a vet, you've been on the team for 3-4 years, you have to make it the next year again, and it's like everyone wears the different outfits, and if you say yes, you gotta turn in your outfit at it's really good. I mean, I would suggest. I mean, I have a daughter and dad, so I kind of.
Well, I was going to ask you too. Like, where do you come out on this in terms of like? There's the pom cheerleaders, long sexy legs. You know, the blonde and the beautiful, that type of that. We look at Cowboys cheerleaders, or would you prefer like that dancing team? Mix of guys, mix of gals. They're doing acrobatics. I mean, it's like a circus atmosphere type of thing. College more so, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. That's
the thing. Big boots, high kicks, pom poms, and
that was it. You know, I think every boy of my vintage had maybe a glanced at a calendar or two of that.
Met one at some signing at an auto parts store back in the day or something. I know. Growing up with a few Steelers fans, they always had point of pride, like, "Oh, we only care about football, no cheer. Steelers, no cheerleaders," and that was their big thing. But it's just kind of funny, those two organizations. But Ceedee Lamb, he gets his money. Lamb, the highest paid wide receiver in Cowboys history as well. I mean, that's a hell of a locker room when you think of some of those names that have worn the star.
That's life-changing money too.
Life-changing money. Ceedee Lamb, congrats. But we will do some NFL today as well. Actually, a full football feast for you, and we'll set up the show. We do have some ESTYs to break down. We'll get to that in a matter of minutes. A couple new categories to discuss today. If I know, kind of get a little off the rails later in the show. Yesterday, Matty Iwanek showed up, and Dusty released some things maybe he shouldn't have said, but it's pretty funny. Matty was getting his piss was getting hot, which was always fun to watch. But two categories to discuss today for the ESTYs. We're going to do Event of the Year and Gutsiest Performance of the Year. which YouTube Trev dons a couple of those.
Oh,
I would say that he'd be a betting favorite for one of those gutsiest performances. But we'll have more on that coming up in this hour. Number one, time is just ticking by. That hurts at around 6:40 as well. Tim Hauraney, a Nomi 11, Formula One IndyCar analyst, TSN, the racing pod as well. Smart man when it comes to the track. Of course, Formula One, second half of the season beginning. Zandvoort, you and I, the race by the sea, we love it. We'll get thoughts on that, obviously, from you and Tim later on as the circuit goes to Monza this weekend. And we'll get Tim's thoughts on that. Coolbet Canada Hotline of the Day. Weekly confessions. If you got any for Spectrum Rental, of course, you can chime in right now. Paris Drewler's inbox or via the Nasty Chat. Whether it's hockey, football, or just your personal life, feel free to share. And, of course, with the fantasy football season upon us, too, never too early. Maybe you screwed up in a draft already and you want to get something off your chest. 7:30 will be the time. Following that at 7:40, we'll go to Chiefs Kingdom. Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network. As our NFL previews kind of continue, we probably won't hit on every single team this year as time is escaping us. The Chiefs do open the NFL season at home to the Ravens next Thursday. You can join me at Centric Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that one. Excited to be back at Fort Road for the NFL season, both Monday and Thursday night football. But we'll get Josh's thoughts. The Juju Smith-Schuster signing yesterday. He welcomes back to the fold, adding to that already high-potent Chiefs offense. But we'll get some thoughts on that signing and everything else going on in Chiefs land that winless during the preseason. Again, I'm not going to put too much into preseason results, but maybe there's something there that Josh would like to shine a light on when it comes to the Chiefs. Kind of easy trivia. 3 questions, too many as well. 8 o'clock. And Marshall Ferguson of TSN, he was on the ground. Elks loss in Montreal. We'll get his thoughts on that third quarter. I know Dave Campbell yesterday issuing a variety of tweets, a couple of stats just glaring, outscored 50-0 over the last few. But we'll dive into those numbers with Marshall. He is a numbers guy, but also calling the game there as well in Montreal. So we'll get his thoughts on that game. The Labor Day matchups coming ahead. A tantalizing weekend in the CFL, obviously, with the log jam in the West. And also his thoughts on the Dutch Grand Prix and as Formula One goes to Italy as well, as Marshall loves his racing. And that'll all happen ahead of the wrap for William Huff at around 8:40. But 6:24 right now. As mentioned, we'll get to a sports update. Zach's on that in a matter of minutes. But I just wanted to go over, boys, and Zach, you could chime in on this as well. We do have the ESTYs coming up. It'll be September 17, I do believe, a Tuesday night. Overture, hit the lights. Like it's one of those events. I'm already looking at outfits. I know my wife, she's very excited to meet you. She'll be coming with Jess Jackson. They got nice fur coats and everything like that. So I think, and Zach's getting a posse together to fight Josh Clausen.
Yeah,
it's gunfire and everything.
Dad to come will make another appearance. He'll be there.
Your dad will be coming out again.
Yeah,
Beauty.
yeah.
And he should almost make it gutsiest performance of the year for the Nasty Bash as well. Your dad showed up, I tell you that. So if he was anything like that tonight, we're in for a treat.
I can't wait to see you and Clausen. It's like a West Side Story kind of thing.
Well, we got VR Montenegro said he'll strap up for him already. Like it's all kind of going. We're going to have a metal detector at the event. I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think we have to at this point. But ESTYs, again, mark it on your calendar. $10. You can email Matt at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't wait. It's going to be a fun night. You know how we do. Black tie, but it'll be a little loose. That type of thing. I'm looking at a top hat, I think. A very high, like stovepipe hat. But a couple of categories this morning to go over. As mentioned, event of the year, and a nice tight 5 here. And I think I can narrow it down to a couple.
Okay.
But we have NFL Watch Party at Century, which was kind of mid-season last year. It was nice getting down, knowing Renee, the staff, and we had a good one. It was a good midweek turnout there. But I don't know if it gets the pop. Super Bowl at Century. Now that was one. The TV got broken. One of the TVs, the wrap, because we had the 6 o'clock locker pyramid of cans and everything, and a few things were getting tossed. Yada yada yada. They're welcoming us back for another season.
Perfect.
But we tore it up there. I mean, that night was outstanding. There was laughter. There was tears. There was the whole bit at Super Bowl at Century. So that was a great event if you were there. The EST Classic.
Crazy.
Say no more, right?
Yeah, that was the lead up. I was like, and Maddie working so hard. You know, that was
his
thing.
Baby.
Yeah, and probably my most enjoyable part of that. I think it's on hole 7. He rolls up in the cart, and you know that feeling when you finish something and it's all completed, and you
And he was alone just driving.
He was
around.
just, he was just driving. And I go, do you miss playing? And he goes, no, man. This is what I wanted from this. And he was just bliss. Matty Bliss. And I was like, good for you, buddy. Good for you.
I don't think we could have had a better weather day.
Oh my God,
everything
it's so
was
hot.
just, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
right?
oh,
Like,
yeah.
I know everybody's 23, it's nice, but actually on days like that, I wanted piping. I want to be drinking.
Yeah.
Kinda,
It was great. Like even the banquet after, like it was so. I've been to a few banquets there, and nothing has been at that decibel level for the entire time, which was great.
And thanks again to Murray and the Ranch Golf and Country Club. I mean, that I don't golf. But when it comes to skimming around on a cart or doing some hijinks, they're always available to kind of say, yeah, do your thing. It fits the EST brand, the Ranch Golf and Country Club. So, I mean, the EST Classic, if you know, you know. And if you missed out, now you get that FOMO for next year. So I'm sure Maddie will be back with it. But EST Classic, of course, making the event of the year list. The Nasty Bash, which, again, right on the heels of the EST Classic. And I kind of admitted not a lot of... When we got canned last summer, we had a month and some to plan for. People were like, where'd you go? What are you doing? And they wanted something. So the Nasty Bash was something to kind of... It was like a lighthouse for a lot of listeners. This was after the Golf Classic. People are still licking their wounds. And in 2 weeks, we're going to party again. But we showed up. And, of course, I mean, the Smash Reed Wilkins...
Yeah.
Wow.
There's been a lot of great moments first year here. That's I mean, even Dusty was talking about just having the 24/7 camera in the lounge area. No sound.
Black and white.
Yeah.
It's got to be surveillance.
There's been some moments in there that have been quite funny as well.
And we need to get that going. I think that's the next type of kind of weird little thing we get going in here with the cameras. Last but not least, on event of the year, Oilers watch party at Hudson's. And then in parentheses says, we need a specific one. They were off the hook some nights, whether it's White Avenue, West Edmonton Mall, Bourbon Street. I know Norm's family, the Combine crew, shown up for a few. It was always a mixed bag. You never really knew who would be there and what the vibe would be. But of course, the Oilers season ending as it was, I do like if they would have went on and won the cup, maybe you get a little more points. Maybe the memories are a little more ripe and fresh and positive. But a good time nonetheless.
I remember the one time I was having dinner with my wife at the mall, and I knew that the game was going on, and Tommy was doing the show from Bourbon Street, Hudson's, and it was in overtime. Was it overtime? I forget which game it was. Tommy will know. But I walked in wearing the leather, pointed at Tommy, and looked at this, and the Oilers scored. Like they scored right then, and then I just went and I left. So
well, you know,
that's
not
all
too
I
much.
needed. Just a little push sometimes.
And I think my personal highlight from those watch parties was Tommy, and you know he dresses to kill. Like he's on point all the time. But the odd time somebody would walk in and kind of get table for two, please.
Yeah.
Because he's right at the front. So it was kind of funny how that was set up. But
Belsey asked for their ID once.
well, the two of them at the front.
Two at the front,
Hell of a tag team there. But no, and I would pop in on the odd time with my glazed over eyes, and Tommy would quiz me on a lot of things that I wasn't prepared for. But Oilers watch parties, Hudson's White or Hudson's West Edmonton Mall, lots of little stories, depending on which game, but not really one sort of big event. So, I mean, Zach, Tim, I don't know where you're going on this. Gager, I think I kind of know, but I'm narrowing it down, whittling it down to either the EST Classic or the Nasty Bash for me. It's got to be. I mean, the Super Bowl kind of seems so far away. A good time as it was at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. But these two summer events were just...
Yeah, what do you say, Zach?
I think it's got to be in between those two, the Classic and the Nasty Bash as well. Like, just some memories. The song from the Nasty Bash, if it's so good that you can make a song about it, it's got to be.
Did we make one out of the EST Classic, hey?
No.
I guess maybe that's where you...
That might be the swing.
Where you land. And you and Curtis Stock from the EST Golf Show driving around in that cart. Man, that's a duo. That is a duo.
Good. That's good.
We're going to take a break. Zach will have a sports update here, and we'll come back with the second category, Gutsiest Performance of the Year, where YouTube Trev pops up not once but twice in this category. So we'll take a little look at that. That's all ahead of That Hurts, and that'll be the opening hour of the Nielson Show this morning, brought to you by South Fort Chevrolet. Lieutenant Eric, Walking Gauge, Zach on the sports updates. Take it away, Zach.
Last night, the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 7-3 in bizarre fashion. The game was originally played in Boston on June 26, but was postponed. During that time, catcher Danny Jansen was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox, allowing him to become the first player in MLB history to play the same game for both teams. The Jays play the Red Sox again tonight with first pitch at 5:10. Also in baseball, Aaron Judge marked his 1,000th career hit to help the Yankees beat the Nationals. Over in football, the Dallas Cowboys re-signed wide receiver Ceedee Lamb to a 4-year deal worth $136 million. The 25-year-old becomes the second highest paid non-quarterback with an average salary of $34 million. In the Canadian game, former Ottawa Rough Riders co-owner Bernie Gleiberman has passed away. During his time as partial owner of the CFL franchise, the league expanded to the U.S., agreeing to split the team in half for the newly made Shreveport Pirates in Louisiana. Gleiberman was 85. In tennis, Bianca Andreescu plays her first opening match tonight at 5, while Canadian Leylah Fernandez hits the court at 2:15. Staying in the world of tennis, 16-year-old Iva Jovic won her opening match in the U.S. Open against 2023 Australian Open semifinalist Magda Linette. The American plays her second match on Wednesday. In WNBA action last night, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever won 84-79 against the Dream, while the Mystics and the Liberty picked up wins against the Storm and Mercury, respectively. This sports update is brought to you by Nisku Glass. If you're looking for replacement glass for your construction equipment or fleet vehicles, or a home or business owner looking to upgrade your space with high-efficiency windows and modern glass designs, Nisku Glass is here to help. From your home to your business to your vehicle, they won't just meet your glass needs, they'll shatter them. Check out their Instagram or call them at 780-955-7989 and see what Nisku Glass can do for you.
Closer to the hollow, the devil may care. If I showed you around my heart, would you mind if I shared to show you what's wrong with me? I will not change it. I will wait patiently while you get painted out. Let me into your untainted tribe to be the one who gets to live a lie. Oh, let me lie with you. I'll be a perfect stranger. I wanna be that stupid boy that you don't talk about. You better believe there's a sharp knife beside my bed. You better believe there's a sharp knife inside my head. And if you would leave, I would take you by the hand. You and I would leave, but it wouldn't be that bad.
6:35, it is the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Looking for a high of around 25 this afternoon. A slight risk of showers as well, as the summer will not be defeated as of yet. And some nice temperatures for Labor Day. This is reminding me of the ESTY Classic for Labor Day weekend here. 30 degrees, flirting with 30 here. Let's get it on. I love it. So, yeah, we look forward to that. 780-218-9999 is the Paris Jewelers inbox. Text, it's getting a beating this morning. Rip City Step says, put a beat behind the sports update Rapticum. And I think I know what he was talking about there. I think he wants you to wrap the sports updates from now on. I don't know if you can do that on the fly, Zach, but if you so choose, give Rip City Step what he wants there. Can I get a conch for my kids, Sawyer, Ava, and Riley? Off to grandmother's house we go before school starts. Oh, I love that. Stoics 99, that one's for you. What a night. The final trip to grandma's just before the school and before the business season gets underway. That's got to be nice. X-Ray J chimes in. Nasty Bash was the greatest 2.5 hours of my summer. And you were certainly, maybe one of the gutsiest performances as well. Maybe you make the list here, X-Ray J, but we will see about that. 780-218-9999. Will we see a new kicker in Elk's future? Is BD still ranked number 10 in a 9-team league? Hardy Hara from Dave in Section T.
You laid it out pretty good. Was it yesterday that you laid that out with BD? Like, I can't remember who said it, but no, he's kicking for distance, but just not.
And that's why they brought Faithful didn't have it. If you could combine the two,
I know,
melt them down, and then
it's crazy because he looks like a linebacker too.
I know
he looks like
it's like a rugby player, a hooker or whatever you want to call it.
He looks like something that you designed in Madden. Because it's just the kicker's just a.
Should be wearing 69 or something. One of those things,
with a horse collar too, right?
The neck roll.
The neck roll.
If he gets a neck roll, I might be reinvesting in him. But
that's what a kicker needs.
Dean Faithful's been putting these videos out, and he's been working on his distance. So maybe that's something. I don't know, just the vibes that Faithful brought too. I think. He was in here. He gets it. He's the wave and all that. So we'll see. Again, as we discussed yesterday, 73% on a season won't really cut it. And if you could adjust that percentile, who's to say where the Elks are standing wise? But an important weekend for them as well. We'll discuss Marshall Ferguson at 8:30. As it's the home and home at the Stamps, and then a home and home at the Bombers as well following that. So should be an interesting month in Elks World as well. 780-218-9999. Get your texts in. $20 to A&W today is on the line, and we can tell you at A&W, Mama knows a good price, and that the simple pleasures are the best. So look no further. You can now enjoy a Mama Burger combo and kids pack for $12.49. Not bad for a couple of meals there. That's a Mama Burger fries, regular root beer, a kid's Buddy Burger. Don't sleep on the Buddy Burgers as well. Great snack and at a great price. Little side of apple slices, a made good granola bar, and milk to go, all for only $12.49. Hurry in offer available for a limited time. Participating A&W restaurants. Most drive-through locations open 24 hours for your convenience. The Buddy Burger with cheese and the onions on there. Spectacular. As promised, though, we're going to get into the gutsiest performance of the year as the ESTYs approaches. Once again, September 17th. It is a Tuesday. Treat yourself. Take the day off work the next day. Make it a bit of a week for yourself, as we might be as well. But $10 entry free, black tie at the Garneau Theater. So nice historical place. Probably the best place to do one of these shows. And if you are interested in joining us for that night, a night of whimsy, laughter, probably a few tears as well, of happiness, email Matt at edmontonsportstalk.com. Gutsiest performance of the year. Sean Bell on the hangout after local tournament. And I'm just reading this as it is here.
I heard
we
about
need
this.
Please engage, because local tournament, it doesn't really pop off the page.
I think it was, it was one of the local establishments tournaments.
Yes.
And he indulged a little bit too much and had to excuse himself. Was it multiple times from the hangout?
Oh, was his flu game or something?
Oh, he was rough. He would come out of the hangout room. We have two different studios. This one, the Popeyes Louisiana kitchen studio, and then the hangout studio. And he'd excuse himself, and I'd be like, "Hey, Belsy, you need a water? What's going on?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to the bathroom." and then he'd go out over there, and he probably 2 or 3 times he went out. I'm like, "Are you feeling okay?" He's like,
and what's it due to a nosebleed?
I'm making it. No, it was no. He kept the bathroom clean.
Well, Belsy on the hangout after that tournament, and again, I hope whenever you're announcing, I need a more to give the voter and everybody what we're looking at here. So Belsy on the hangout, flu game, if you will. Dustin at Century after Super Bowl. Now, I don't have a big recollection following the game at Century, so I can't really discuss what happened to Dusty.
I have no idea.
Zach, do you
want to? It was just...
It was a fun night.
You guys, everybody had such a great night, and I think it all wrapped up at 2 in the morning.
I wasn't allowed back on the floor.
Yeah, you were.
Sorry, you're not supposed to, but I had one of the rooms to myself, which was nice. But did Dusty, I know the TV... Something happened with the TVs, and we had the big pyramid of cans. And
he was going wild. He was honestly, I'd put it at the same level as a Nasty Bash, but then he had to go do a show.
And
right?
we did
Like,
the show, yeah.
Yeah,
And this
and
was
you
off
guys
the
did
heels
it.
of Vegas. We were
Yeah,
old hat at
yeah.
that time. A couple Caesars and away you go. So Dustin at Century after Super Bowl, followed by me at Century after Super Bowl. Yeah, that was a wild day. That was an emotional day for me. There was a lot of things that I was finding out both prior to the game, during the game, and then after the game. And then I wasn't allowed back on the floor at one point. But I got to sleep in my own room, which was quite nice. Now it gets to the end of this category for gutsiest performance of the year. Once again, ESTY, September 17, Tuesday night, Garno Theater, $10 entry fee. Email matt@edmontonsportstalk.com. YouTube Trev during heat wave, not being able to sleep. That was a moment in time where, again, it culminated. Jason Milne with the air conditioner, all of that stuff happening. But we've talked about how the heat changes an individual. And him coming in here and doing the shows when it was 38.
Didn't he come sleep here too, though?
A couple nights.
Yeah.
He was here because he had to. And I offered my basement as well. It's an ice box down there. Like having a basement is, you don't know until
nice.
you do.
Yeah.
But he, of course, lives with his roommates. He's up top, as you do, in the flop house. And he was a changed man during those days. You could tell that the heat was affecting his DNA almost.
Yeah, because he's very warm when you
happy
come
guy,
in. But those days when he was he was too hot. Well, yeah, he wasn't that bright.
His rods and cones,
sunshine.
everything was misfiring.
Yeah, he was like Kramer with the red apartment.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
night was day, up was down, and it was all kind of over the place. So YouTube Trev during the heat wave. A painful time for him, but perhaps an entertaining time for you, watching and listening as well. And that's kind of, we put our bodies and minds on the line here, or try to. The gutsiest performance of the year category wraps up. YouTube Trev following Oilers Game 7 Stanley Cup final loss. And you rode with him for a lot of these type of thing. You're maybe in here, you saw him. I know Tom was kind of shepherding him a lot during these games.
I saw him at the beginning of the year, and it was funny because we were all watching one of the first games, and the Oilers scored. And we've watched.
We're used
to it or whatever. It's not. I might give it a pumpernickel here, like a subtle. But he jumped right out of the chair and went, "Yes!"
And I think we were all
I was like, "What's up? Who the hell are you all of a sudden?" And he was like, it was funny to look at his face afterwards because he wanted to cheer so bad. He goes, "Oh my gosh, what have I just done?" But
he'll learn over time. Like I think it'll
I don't mind
wear
it
you
though.
down.
I don't mind it.
You need a little youthful exuberance, eh?
I don't. This kind of sticks in my craw a little bit when people say I have no skin invested in the game. I don't cheer for it, and I'm like, well, how do you not get involved emotionally with a sports franchise if you're watching them
a smidge,
just constantly all the time? You can't. If you must be dead inside if you don't. Like, I mean, I watch the Oilers a lot, but I watch a lot of other games too.
Well, you also play, like you do come from a different kind of angle. You've seen behind the curtain.
But I still get emotionally attached to games, and maybe it's my emotions are a little subdued around people. But when I'm by myself, I find myself cheering and yelling and screaming and stuff like that. So I say let loose once in a while. It's okay. It's not just because you appreciate something. You can show some emotion for it. I think you're robbing yourself.
And I think again the roller coaster of emotions for YouTube Trev. We've all that ride, hell of a ride.
Hell of a ride.
He will get so high, but then he'll get low, and that's so. And with that comes, that's part of being a fan too. Is almost you need the lows to get to the highs. But
I wonder if maybe Zach can have a poll about this. What ride meant more to you, the 06 ride or last year's ride? What probably for different people at different ages, I guess.
Yeah.
But
when you've got a big wide gap there of like a prime drinking age, I've always talked about this. Like if you were entering post 06 and just getting into like 19, 18, you've had a whole year of prime years where now you're kind of, maybe you're starting a family and you're like, oh, I don't do that anymore.
But even if you were starting a family and you were a young hockey player at that point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you saw your friends, your parents' friends come over and scream and yell and swear. So maybe that resonated more with you than you actually having fun watching it and
fanning.
And as you can indulge in adult drinks and things like that, go to the the moss pit and partake in that regard. So
Yeah, and
sometimes as a kid, those early childhood memories kind of.
And I think with Trev too, I get a real, because I 06 I wasn't even here in the city. I didn't get the whole vibe of that. Quite clearly, you get the vibe here of this past season and going right to the edge. But speaking of going to the edge, just watching YouTube Trev edging over every result is just, that to me, sometimes watching a fan, again, putting an ISO cam on a fan like that and watching reaction, I watch that more than the game at certain times. And you're right, with memories of parents or stuff like that. So maybe that's what gets YouTube Trev over the line here. But again, he pops up twice in this category. Gutsiest performance of the year, as Rip City Step says in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Gustiest as well. For YouTube Trev, surviving calling out windy people was pretty gusty. Yeah, coming hard after the text of the day there, Rip City Step. So maybe we'll invent a category for that. But
I just have to get to Jordy Mack. I think is he a teacher? I'm not sure if Jordy Mack. Let me know if you're a teacher, because he asked for a conch for himself because it's his first day of school. So
no, he's.
I had to get that in.
He's a teacher for a variety of things in life, but he'll be attending class.
Okay.
He's
Perfect.
but nice to see you, Jordy. Pop by whenever you can, and you have a day off. We'd love to see you again. Once again, gutsiest performance of the year. Bellsy on the hangout after a local tournament. Dustin at Century after Super Bowl. Myself at Century after Super Bowl. YouTube Trev during the heat wave, or YouTube Trev following Oilers Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals loss. And earlier on, we had Event of the Year, NFL Watch Party at Century, Super Bowl Century, EST Classic, Nasty Bash, Oilers Watch Party at Hudson's. So once again, 2 categories down. We'll have more tomorrow. It is the ESTYs. It is September 17th, Tuesday night, Garneau Theater, $10 for entry. Black tie event. If you want to show up, it's going to be a great night, fun night. You can meet everybody, the significant others, that type of thing. Who are you wearing? Red carpet, all that type of stuff. Email matt@edmontonsportstalk.com. Once again, we keep having these events. You hear about them afterwards. Oh, I should have went. Oh, I should have done that. Don't miss out. Go to it. This is the first annual one. And it's going to be a banger for sure. 6:48, we'll get into that hurts right now real quickly. We'll have Tim Hauraney coming up at 7:05 as we cap the opening hour here on the Nielson Show. But that hurts for SBLLP, Alberta Injury Lawyers. When accidents happen, contact them. Albertans suffer personal injuries and accidents every single day. Many of you, though, too overwhelmed to seek the legal advice that you need. Leave it in the hands of those who can look after it for you, the experts at SBLLP. Go to sb-llp.com, click on personal injury, or call 780-438-5281. No need to feel shame. Let SBLLP handle the claim. And I'm going to go to something that you said earlier on in the show, Gager, and that was Psycho Sid Vicious passing away at and wrestlers, I mean, a lot of mileage on those bodies sometimes, albeit self-inflicted, but passing away at the tender age of, what was it?
63.
63. So yeah, I mean, that whenever you get one of those, childhood wrestling and get the memories flood back, you go down the YouTube rabbit hole watching the best ofs or whatever. Just his entrance too. I mean, to hell with the stuff in the ring, a showman, to be sure. So that hurts to me would be Sid Udy, or Psycho Sid Vicious. Again, passing away yesterday, 63 years young. I don't know if that would be where you're going for that hurts for SBLLP.
I'm gonna beat this dead horse a little bit more. I saw a little bit more of the offer sheet signings, and Dylan Holloway yesterday in an interview on, I think it was the NHL Network, and explaining how far they were from a number, and that he was looking forward. He didn't think he would get the proper opportunities here in Edmonton, and it would be more fruitful in St. Louis. And I was like, really, man? Like, it was you just, I don't know, the world was open for you here, and you were, I don't know if you would have cracked the top 6, but you were knocking on the door to play with 2 of the greatest players in the game today.
You were in quite a window here to be part of something that...
so opportunity, please. And I mean, maybe he's just trying to say the right things or whatever, but it kind of, I don't know why I got emotionally attached to it, but I was just, I found myself, that hurts, man, for you to say that. I thought you were it seemed like, although you were from Calgary, that the blood was a little bit more blue than red.
We put that rivalry usually aside when we talk about just the provincial thing too. I think. Hey, you know, whatever. Don, actually, from where North of 60 was filmed as well. I always kind of had that attachment with Holloway. I always kind of found that funny. But I think, were you also? I seem to remember, and this was just after the Oilers didn't chime in on the offer sheet and they became officially Blues. But there was that video still of both him and Broberg. And I think maybe it was their first interview.
Yeah.
They didn't look too happy. And I mean, maybe, again, it was a still, but it kind of illustrated to me like, okay, well, you got your bag and that's fine. Two things can be true. But it did look like a bit of two guys that weren't necessarily excited to take their talents to Missouri.
No, I think Broberg a little bit more so, just from, I think he was happy about the opportunity to go somewhere else and try it elsewhere. Holloway, no. And this is just a little peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Like when I would sometimes go down there and see practices and things like that. He was, and this was not so much last year, but the year before, sparingly here or there. But he just seemed like a guy that really liked where he was. You know, he liked the everything about what he was doing on the ice, how he was preparing. Like he was doing some extra drills with veteran guys.
Not maybe wanting more comfortable in that role.
Yeah, like he was a sponge. He was just like absorbing everything, trying to get better. And then even, you know, when he would come back, I think I actually did the game on Sportsnet with Gene, and I had just noticed how engaged he was even on the bench. Like he was just, there was a penalty right in front. He jumps up, is yelling at the ref, "Hey, penalty!" Like. Yeah. He was in it, right?
And contrasting to Broberg, to your point too, not even.
I mean, he is Swedish. There's
not that attachment in the sense that you've grown up and kind of been here and saw it all.
So, that kind of hurt yesterday, just in a weird way, for him to say that. When I thought that all roads led to playing eventually with either Connor or Leon on their wing.
Blues in town to take on the Oilers, 8 o'clock, December 7th. Circle your calendar if you haven't already. Maybe Shirelli shows up too. I mean, I want them all to, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Roll up in a monster truck or something. Let's juice this thing up. And as you mentioned, the emotion, I want to get to this text as well. Grumpy Cat says, hot take alert. Gager says all sports broadcasters are dead inside. I'll kind of take your words wrong. I'm with you, and hopefully the big networks slowly allow some emotion during broadcasts. I mean, I don't know if you didn't catch the kickoff to the college football season as well. The Florida State Seminoles and Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets out in Ireland, and they had Jesse Palmer. They're sinking a Guinness on ESPN. I mean, McAfee's three sheets to the wind every second day. I mean, things are loosening a bit, but I don't think you're going to get too troned off taking a couple sips of Guinness.
I don't know if you saw the Jack Michaels was on Chicklets.
Yeah, I saw a bit of that. Yeah,
and it's a refreshing to hear him speak about everything. Like he's so like enthusiastic about everything, and the way he looks at it upon himself to bring people in, you know, and he feels responsible. If I gotta make sure that people are engaged with this. Like
reminds me of the guy at the circus. You stand on that thing with the whip and the big hat. Here we go. Like, you know, everything's kind of.
He's leading the three-ring circus. Yeah. It's amazing what they did. I remember one time I told him through the headset. I go, Jack, how does it feel? I think it was when he got his 5,000th game, or whatever, that big award or whatever it was, and how does it feel to be the voice that every child playing in the driveway hears when they score a goal? And he was like, well, thanks for that pressure. but
maybe you don't think of that. It's
right?
true,
like
absolutely.
When all these little kids outside are playing on rinks when they're coming down the wing and toe drag.
Especially him. No offense to anybody, but there are a lot more, maybe I'd say vanilla.
Well, I'm speaking around this area.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. And there's a lot of eyes on Connor McDavid and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I heard.
I was more so for like a Canadian Bob. I wouldn't I couldn't name you anybody who was doing Fox early day game. You know what I mean? Because it was just kind of a little more boring.
But Bob Cole was like,
but it was something different.
Yeah, that's what I heard when I did something.
Yeah,
right?
Your
when I was
default.
A kid.
Yeah. And again, I'll never forget my brother and I imitating you on our driveway, which was I still can't believe it. Now we're sitting here together. It's life, man. It's a funny thing. Tube Socks, Nasty Bash wins out over EST Classic because there was no Tube Socks factor at the EST Classic. Okay, so a little selfish there. Rusty Shackelford says, LT, my daughter and I coming to grab the winnings for the pass while she wants to meet one of the funny guys. I'm curious how long you're. We'll be around. Zach, you want to meet the funny guy? Zach will be here all day long. He's putting in the hours today. So yeah, swing on by if you do have some prizing to pick up. We are open 9 o'clock-ish to 1-ish. 3-ish, that type of thing now. Business hours, obviously, with the new shows starting here, Labor Day weekend type of thing, but Gager and Hernan, 1 to 3, Reed and Milne, 3 to 6.
Yep.
We're 6 to 6, baby. We're real, and it's spectacular. So, yeah, Rusty, swing on by today, 9-ish to 1-ish, and we'll hook you up here. Lots of texts. This is great. VR Montenegro Super Bowl tower shot. He texted in the video of the 6 o'clocker logger, so we'll have to watch that on our leisure here as well. I saw it set up. I never saw it got knocked down, so I'll have to take a look at that video. 2 teams in the same game, geez, and I thought my ex got around. I think that Vance Van Vandervan, is that the Jays Red Sox thing there? I don't know. Lacombe Drew, honorable mention for gutsiest performance of the year. The day after Super Bowl with LTE on air with no voice and YouTube Trev going missing. And his dad's worried sick about him. YouTube Trev had a night as well. I mean, I think we all had kind of a gutsier performance there at Super Bowl, Zach.
I think that's just an all-around group performance. Honestly, the entire thing could be looked at as a gutsy performance just from the EST crew. Yeah. Honestly, I know it's an individual award, but it's hard to pick just the one specific performance because, that first hour of the show, I could just tell like you were still you didn't really sleep too much, so you're just having your way. And then Trev, he was supposed to teach me how to run the show, and that was when I was on practicum still, and he didn't wake up until 7:30, halfway through the entire
there,
show.
Hair cold, Brett.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Trev's, yeah,
I love it.
I think, we didn't really know where Trev was. And my brother, too, got asked to leave for innocently enough, wandering into the women's washroom, which, if you look at his hair maybe from behind, you could say, well, maybe he'd be here. But, lots of honorable mentions, I think, as well for this awards ceremony. That honorable mention, I think, will be the category for most. Those are some hard issues in working hours. What are you, a teacher? No. Well, no, 9-ish to 1-ish, whatever. I mean, I'll say a generous 10 before and 10 after if you want, that type of thing. 6:58, that hurts. SBLLP, once again, if you have injuries, personal injuries, any type of thing, don't be shy. No need to feel shame. Let SBLLP handle the claim. Give them a call today, 780-438-5281, or comfortably online, www.sb-llp.com. Leave it in the hands of those who can look after it for you, the experts at SBLLP. Fun opening hour, boys. It was good to get a little Esties talking as well. I mean, this is going to be fun leading up to the event.
Heating up.
Once again, September 17th. It's a Tuesday night, Garneau Theater. If you want in, and you should get in, $10. That's it. Red carpet event. Email matt@edmontonsportstalk.com, and we'll see you there at the Garneau.
Maybe even book one of those sick days for the Wednesday.
That's and it's good midweek, so you break up that week.
Yeah,
the weekends then a touch away. You're coming off a weekend. It's a beautiful
after
thing.
Party Hudson's. So
Hudson's White. Yes, you're right. That'll be the official. We'll congregate and remember everything, and people can show off their awards and such. I hope I'm doing a speech. Like I hope I can give out one of the. I want to do the Webster's Dictionary defines gutsiest. That type of thing. So keep getting the texts in. Once again, A&W is still up for grabs, $20. Maybe Rip City Step will be the bar leader right now, but see if you can beat him. 780-218-9999. Nasty Chat is humming along as well on YouTube. And once again, if you are on YouTube and haven't yet, hit that sub. We're just trying to get a piece by piece, a couple subs every show, every day, and we'll get to that 10K sooner rather than later. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the like as well. Why not? Gager is in. He is Mr. Like on the YouTube shows. I mean, we have the photographic evidence out in the main lobby for that anyway. So hit the like. We're almost changing 100. That's the opening hour. It's the Nielson Show, brought to you by Southfort Chevrolet. We'll hit a sports update here, courtesy Zacticum. Of course, Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage does to Nielsen off today. Zach will have a sports update in hour number 2. Tim Hauraney will join us right after the top of the hour, diving into Formula One, a Coolbet Canada hotline of the day, weekly confessions for Spectrum Rental, and we'll go down to KC and talk a little Chiefs football with Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network. This is the Nielsen Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Last night, the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 7-3 in bizarre fashion. The game was originally played in Boston on June 26, but was postponed. And during that time, catcher Danny Jansen was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox, allowing him to become the first player in MLB history to play the same game for both teams. The Jays played the Red Sox again tonight with first pitch at 5:10. Also in baseball, Aaron Judge marks his 1,000th career hit to help the Yankees beat the Nationals. Wow, that's a big number. Can barely say it. Over in football, the Dallas Cowboys re-signed wide receiver Ceedee Lamb to a 4-year deal worth $136 million. The 25-year-old becomes the second highest paid non-quarterback with an average salary of $34 million. In the Canadian game, former Ottawa Rough Riders co-owner Bernie Gleiberman has passed away. During his time as partial owner of the CFL franchise, the league expanded to the U.S., agreeing to split the team in half to suit up for the newly made Shreveport Pirates in Louisiana. Gleiberman was 85. In tennis, Bianca Andreescu plays her first match tonight at 5, while Canadian Leylah Fernandez hits the court at 2:15. Staying in the world of tennis, 16-year-old Iva Jovic won her opening match in the U.S. Open against 2023 Australian Open semifinalist Magda Linette. The American plays her second match on Wednesday. In WNBA action, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever won 84-79 against the Dream, while the Mystics and Liberty picked up wins against the Storm and Mercury, respectively. This sports update brought to you by Green Plan, providing you with award-winning environmental planning and consulting services. Whether it's municipal, industrial, or residential, plan it right with Green Plan. Visit green-plan.com or give them a call at 780-455-4292.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
7:04, you're tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and of course live, that nice wide shot on YouTube. We are presented by the good folks at South Fort Chevrolet. Check them out today in Fort Saskatchewan or online, www.southfortchev.com. Go see Daniel and Claire and the team down there. A fun staff as well. It'll be an enjoyable experience for you if you are in the market for a Chevrolet truck, anything like that, Tahoes as well, all of those good deals, and we'll have more on that to come later on in the show. Lieutenant Eric Walking Gage, Zach Dugam, as you heard on the sports updates behind the monitors, locking it down today. A couple of texts I want to get to just ahead of Tim Hauraney. He'll be joining us in a matter of minutes. Our TSN racing analyst will recap the Dutch Grand Prix and look ahead to Monza this weekend in the Formula One circuit. This text, Scott in a hotel room in Beaumont. Love the handle, buddy. Here's my comparison in 06 and now. To the Stanley Cup runs. 06 was like being out with your buddies and winning $1,000 in a VLT, and you just rode that money for the night and had an amazing time. Found money. Now the team is like a business you built. You know it's good with potential to be the best, and you expect it to be the best. I lived them both, and they're both amazing in different ways. So I don't know if you agree with that type of analogy.
That's kind of how I looked at it, too. You didn't expect them. Like, I remember game 6?
It's the Cinderella.
Oilers are up 3-2, and the whole city was like, well, it's over.
And even knocking off the teams, like the gauntlet that they had to run to get there. Gosh. I mean, some of those, the who's who really at that time of the Western Conference, in a sense. Sometimes it is that journey that you kind of really, as opposed to kind of the finale there. But
Ceedee the Welder, that run. That's nice.
Can you do a conch? I know it's out of the rules. We're past 7 o'clock. Conch for my, Smitty the Welder, 19th anniversary today, 19th anniversary. So congrats there to Smitty the Welder and your significant other. Rip City Sep says, Zach trying to get Dusty to have a water at Super Bowl party was pretty gutsy. You remember that there, Zach?
Yeah, I had to. That was for the brownie points, right? I was still on practicum. I was trying to, weave my way in there. I'm like, hey, Dusty, make sure you have a water.
Good for you.
Jocelyn as well says her daughter got married during that 38-degree week. 4 days, 5 events, too many outfits.
Wow.
Definitely Trev and the heat wave wins. Yeah, you needed a few waters there as well, I think, too. So we know where Jocelyn's voting for gutsiest performance of the year when it comes to the ESTYs. Once again, YouTube, hit that sub, hit the like this morning. Let's change 100. And Tim Hauraney will be joining us in a matter of minutes. We're still trying to get him on the line here. Hey, that's okay. Okay. That's okay, Zach. Yeah, no problem. Paris Jewelers inbox humming along once again. $20 to A&W. They got the Mama Burger combo deal and the Kids Pack deal right now. $12.49 is the price, so pretty good deal there. And if you win Text of the Day, you get all that with a little walking around change as well with the $20 GC to A&W. So text in 780-218-9999. It is the Paris Jewelers inbox. And Zach, when you do get Tim on the line, I do believe we are changing 100. Courtesy Tube Socks this morning. Formula One, Gager, I guess we'll get into this with you now. We returned Zandvoort, a race that you and I selfishly, I think, look forward to just because of the layout of the place, the carnival atmosphere, that type of thing. But just
Armin van Buren had the checkered flag at the end, right?
It.
Like
Armin van Buren. And, yeah, all that. Like, I had a teacher, like my grade 9 homeroom, he was hardened. He drove an Acura, single guy, but he just pumped that all the time. Right? And just, but your thoughts on the race as it is. I mean, Lando again, Red Bull, continuing to chip away there. Hey.
To me personally, I felt that free practice and qualifying were the highlight of the weekend. The race itself, there was some moments, but not as much as I thought going into this. Lando turned into Max of old, essentially, and just took off. There's some questions I want to ask Tim about the whole race, but yeah, it's with all the things that I've been looking at. Christian Horner saying, you know what, we're on the back foot now, and McLaren has showed something that we're going to have to need to make improvements of this car if we want to come close on the constructors now, because the gap is really tightening.
And more than enough time, correct? For people that may not know. I mean, he's not just saying this to say, oh, guys, smarten up here.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left here. So, and this is where you get into, I think, with equipment. So, power unit changes, grid, you drop places on the grid before. So it's going to be increasingly difficult. And Max hasn't won a race in the last 5.
What did you make of the start? Because I know, Lando's there. Max just seemed to, and I don't know on the broadcast, they were saying the tires too much, but it just seemed like Max just, and away he goes. And
well, as you know, I watched on the helmet cam, and I could see that you could hear the car itself, and it sounded like Lando's car was skipping. Like it was just, he couldn't get that traction, and that was the reason for Max to pull ahead at Tarzan Corner, so they call it. And just a little F1 trivia. I don't know. Do you know why they call the first corner at Zandvoort Tarzan Corner?
When they go through it, they all have to go,
No, but close.
Wouldn't that be something?
When they originally built the track, I guess, they had to get the land from a farmer or something, and he was reluctant to give up this land, and actually said, well, I'll give it up, but you just name the corner after me. And his name was Tarzan. How great is that?
That was his name?
That
like
was his name. Yeah.
Because, at that point, you can kind of choose whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so.
Tarzan Corner. I like it. And that every track has its own little romance to each turn or whatever, a story.
But what a cool track. And I mean, if they did show on the normal, like just on the TSN broadcast, the car cam in the McLaren itself, and it's on that gyro. Right, so you get the real undulations of the track, and you almost feel like you're in a roller coaster, right? It's just it's really cool to see the banking of Zandvoort, because there's not a lot of actual elevation in that track, but I mean, right on the water, just lots of wind. It would be a really cool atmosphere.
It's a beautiful spot. Out of all, and again, I know we say this over and over again, but of all and then there's lots of them. There's lots of cool cityscapes, rural. But I mean, that one, it seems like the best time. You mentioned the techno, the Armin van Buren, the Dutch thing to see, and I love it. Timmy's good to go, I think. Yeah. Apologies there, Tim Hauraney. Joining us a little late. That's my problem, not getting the proper numbers of the proper people. But Tim Hauraney joins us now. You can check out his good work. He pops up on TSN, the Racing Pod as well. Formula One, IndyCar racing analyst and insider. Tim, welcome back to the show. You're with Lieutenant Eric and Joaquin Gage this morning. We'll dive right into this one. And I was just quizzing Gage on his thoughts on the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort. But what are your thoughts exiting this race, the first of the second half of the Formula One season?
I mean, the race was okay. It wasn't like great. I mean, we've seen some great races this season, but I mean, I think the start of it was interesting. I think we have some interesting storylines, obviously, moving forward with not only the Constructors' Championship, but also I think now the drivers as well, as we can start to have that conversation, which is, I mean, that's great for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's other little things you can pull, from the race as we move forward to Italy for Monza, the Italian Grand Prix this weekend. But all in all, it was an okay race. I thought like if Piastri probably could have gotten a better start, I think Verstappen most likely either would have just finished off the podium or just finished third. I mean, that's kind of like where I think they are at the moment. Actually, you know what? I don't even think like Red Bull doesn't even seem like they have like one of the fastest cars anymore. Like I think where Sergio ended up, I have a feeling like that's where the car is. Like it's like a sixth place car at the moment. It's just Max Verstappen doing incredible things with that piece of machinery he's been able to get it up as high as he's been able to finish.
Tim, you mentioned that the race was okay. A lot more of the excitement actually happened for me in like free practice 2 and 3 and into qualifying. I just want to get to Mercedes for a bit. Do you like through practice, it seemed like they had found something obviously in weeks prior, but I thought that their race pace would be a lot better in this race than it actually showed. Was there something that I mean, I guess we don't know how much fuel they're running in free practice and things, but it just seemed like compared to a lot of their cars when they went a little bit longer on the medium tires that they showed that they were putting in some good lap times. I thought there was going to be a really good weekend for Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the direction that they went in terms of what pieces did they want to put on the car, what pieces did they want to leave off the car for this weekend, I think they may have taken a bit of a wrong turn in that direction. Toto Wolff had sort of glazed over it a little bit in his post-race press conference that I think they went in the wrong direction of floor. Potentially, they may have put the wrong floor on for that weekend. They may should have thought about doing something different. But I mean, I think for Lewis, he looked really strong in free practice 1, and again, same as you, I thought they were going to qualify better. But I think for their car, it just looked on a knife's edge where it's. You do something just a little bit too much with that car, and you kind of overstep the limit, and you overstep the temperature of the tire, and then it kind of all just snowballs and goes downhill from there, and the car becomes very difficult to handle. You lose a lot of your confidence with the car, and so it looks like with that Mercedes that even though it is fast, and we've seen how fast it's been over the last, let's say 5 or 6 races since Canada, really. I mean, it has an operating window that sometimes can be very small. And when they get it right, that operating window becomes a lot bigger. The drivers have more confidence. The drivers can go and push. And then, we see them at the front of the field. And then temperatures as well, I think also play into that. Canada, where they had pole position, same with British Grand Prix. Those were really cool conditions, and I think that really favors their car as well. If we take a look at Monza coming up this weekend, could also be a very difficult weekend for them, just simply because of new track surface has been laid there, the temperatures that teams and drivers are expected to face. I think it could be a bit of a challenge for them this coming weekend at the Italian Grand Prix because of those temperatures and the tire overheating, etc. But yeah, definitely a disappointing weekend for Mercedes, even as they're trying to overhaul Ferrari in the constructor standings for third place. But yeah, I was same as you. I was pretty shocked to see how poor things went for them last weekend.
There was also a moment in the cool down room when with Max and Charles talking about how far behind you were from Lando, and the look of disgust in Charles's face after, and just the big, you could hear the sigh that he was 23 seconds. Are you kidding me? And it was kind of funny just thinking, my gosh, like a good weekend for Charles, I think, with getting on the podium. Yeah. It seemed like, but just to see his dejection afterwards in that cool down room, talking to Max, and even Max for the first time looking a little bit defeated with this McLaren car, something we haven't seen in a long time from, especially from Max Verstappen.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw some clips from one of his sim racing leagues. He was doing a sim race over the weekend, and he was talking about doping control because he had to do a drug test on the Friday morning at 7 a.m. and the people who were on the stream with him were also asking him like how the weekend was going to go. And he never really commented, but the faces that he was making, I mean, body language with Max, says it all, right? I mean, he definitely wears his heart on his sleeve, which is, I mean, it's good for us because we can, get a good picture of where things are going. But yeah, I don't think they thought they were going to be that far off the pace. One of the things with Red Bull and what they did over the weekend was they ran an older setup on Max's car. So they ran an older floor, dates back to the beginning of the season, actually. And that's a little worrying to hear that, because it kind of says that they don't know where they've gone wrong with their current updates, because Sergio Perez ran all the new updates, the new floor, and we saw where Sergio ended up and how far off of the pace and Max's pace he was all weekend. So, I mean, they definitely have a lot of soul searching to do over there at that team right now. Like it's not good. I don't think they know the direction that they're going in at the moment. They're concerned, even though Christian Horner says he's not. I mean, Helmut Marko is concerned with the Drivers' Championship. He feels that it's under threat, like Helmut Marko feels it's under threat from Lando Norris. And so they need to work harder to try and figure out where they've gone wrong. And I think if they can do some type of a comparison between what they ran on Max's car and what they ran on Sergio's car, sift through that data, and then I think they'll figure out where they've got wrong. It's whether or not they can bring the fixes to the track in time. It's also, do they have enough money left to make the parts to fix what's wrong? And then do they have the wind tunnel and the CFD design time left to create the parts, right? Because it does take a while, right, guys? So there's a couple of different things going on there. I wish there was a way we could learn how much cost cap each team has coming out of the summer break, and same with like wind tunnel and testing time. That would be great if we could learn things like that. But I mean, again, it's difficult days for Red Bull for sure.
Tim Hauraney with us from TSN and Nailing the Apex podcast. You mentioned going to Monza this weekend. Ferrari kind of home race. Is this, and you talk about this cost cap, and when does how much money they still can put into the car? How much focus at this point of the season with that, with the maybe the middle of the pack, the top few, maybe 3-4 teams, how much focus goes into the development of next year's car now and kind of abandoning what they have now?
Yeah, it's a great question because I think we would see a shift in focus in development that would probably take place around July, and that focus shifts to 2025. Now, I think what's going to happen, particularly for this season and this season alone, is that as we continue to go through the season, I feel we are going to see teams bring more updates to their car, and you use a lot more of their cost cap, and you use a lot more of their wind tunnel CFD design time to build out the car now, and not spend as much time in the winter working on the 2025 car. Instead, conserve a lot of your future cost cap, conserve a lot of your future wind tunnel CFD design time, because there's only a limited amount that each team gets, and focus that on 2026. For 2026, for those of you who are listening who don't know, there's a big regulation change that's coming in. These cars are going to be a lot different. The engines, power units that they run, they're going to be totally different as well. It's a massive regulation change. Most of these teams, you only get so much time to test and build things, and the FIA is very strict in that department with how much teams get and how much they are using. And so the focus for a lot of these teams is it's more long game, long picture. They're more looking towards 2026 instead of next season. Granted, next season, everyone still is going to want to be competitive, right? Like these teams are still going to be pushing each other. There's just the developments are not going to be as big. Like we're this year, we've seen B-spec cars. Like that's unheard of. I don't ever remember a Formula One where we saw, a different type of race car show up to the track one weekend, right? Like that's a huge, huge update. But that's the way it is with these new regulations that came in 2022. So, and I think it's made things really exciting. Next season is going to be incredible. I think we're probably going to see 5 or 6 drivers in contention for a title. We're probably going to see 4 teams in contention for the team's championship, constructors championship. So, I mean, it's really going to be exciting from here on out, guys.
Tim, just I think a final one for you here, and just dealing more with that business side. A listener submitted question here, Miranda and YYC, asking about Haas and them settling a sponsor dispute. They will be at Monza, but can you shed a little light on this whole deal with Haas here and settling the sponsor dispute?
So when Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2022, I want to say, they had a Russian driver on their team that they had to cut from the program and also get rid of the Russian sponsorship. Now, Haas still owed money. They owed money back to a company called Uralkali, and it just took them too long to get that paid down. And I'm not sure the specifics of what that deal was, but it took a little too long for the company's liking, or the president of the company. And they basically had to go through 2 courts. I believe there was one in Sweden. There was also another one in the Netherlands, to basically get all of Haas's equipment seized. So they couldn't leave Holland or Zandvoort over the weekend. And then there was also fear they weren't going to be able to leave on Monday, which they finally were able to get the payments made, and the team's now settled. That dispute has been settled as well, and they're off to Monza to race. So complex story, no question about it. But surprising one, because I thought Haas had paid all of that stuff down like a year ago, but I guess not.
Well, and kind of the team that keeps on giving, in a sense, when you look at kind of near the bottom of things, and always something with them. But we appreciate you, Tim, shining a light on a lot of these complexities and kind of dumbing them down for us here out at EST. We appreciate your time again, and enjoy Monza, man.
Hey, thanks again, guys, for having me. Really appreciate it.
There you go. Tim Hauraney, Formula One IndyCar racing analyst, of course, working with TSN and the Racing Pod, nailing the Apex, of course, with Adam Wilde,
awesome.
too. Yeah, so I know
Awesome
you're a
pod.
big fan of that one. Anything you're pulling away from there? Again, like I looking forward and saying, you know, a handful of teams, handful of drivers next year, and you kind of want in the sport. You know, even a 1-2 is fun, and two guys going at it or whatever, but you do want everybody kind of in the mix and any given Sunday, I guess.
And I think this is what you kind of want with Formula One. You have those massive regulation changes and to the cars and what they have to do. And then it takes teams so much time to figure out, some quicker than others.
Yep.
Obviously, Red Bull had this thing figured quite early. But now all these other teams are catching up. I mean, looking at the qualifying, even like everyone's within, you know, a tenth of a second. It's so crazy how close they are in one lap pace and even on race pace. Although Lando took off, the interest I took from him talking was they're still going to be competitive next year, but then there's a lot of focus on trying to, you know, hit the ground running in 2026 when all these regulations come in too, right? But yeah, all the changes in drivers next year should be the most competitive F1 season that we've had in the last, 5-6 years. So for all the other teams to be challenging for championships and constructors. So yeah, there's already looking forward to next year in March.
Changing the guard may be a wrong choice of words, but maybe a new the landscape kind of changes in a sense. You mentioned lots of new driver and not so much your traditional 1v2 Hamilton, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Top heavy guys, but just a lot of a good field.
Yeah.
Oh, in general.
Yeah. There'll be some young guys. Kimi Antonelli looks like he's going to get his first FP1 in Monza, so he's going to get into the Mercedes car, and we'll see what he can do. All accounts is he's got that seat for next year. Jack Dawn in Alpine, I believe.
Logan Sargent.
Yeah, we'll probably won't see much of Logan anymore. But no, I mean, yeah, Carlos and Albon on a team, that's gonna change the whole complexion of that group. So something definitely to look forward to.
And we appreciate Tim Hauraney's time this morning. Once again, you can follow him. Great follow on Twitter as well if you're looking to get into the sport, or if you already are in, you know Tim at Tim Hauraney. That's Tim Hauraney on Twitter. 7:28. We're going to get a sports update from Zach. Real quickly, though, a Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. I'm just going to make mention here. You can go up. They do have everything up there for NFL Week 1. That kicks off next Thursday. The Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, at home to the Ravens. A tantalizing matchup right now. -2.5 right now. You can get the Chiefs at or the Ravens +2.5, I guess. So anything for Week 1 NFL, that's kicking off. That's obviously a big thing for Coolbet. Big thing in the betting world, let's be honest. But if you want to get a little early action there, up at Coolbet.com. Are you riding with anything as well here, Gager?
I just saw the Flushing Meadows. Whoa, Canada. The Leila Fernandez, Felix Aliassime, Dennis Shapovalov, all to win +184. And
what's it called again?
The Whoa Canada, and some NHL specials, some futures are out already. So what caught my eye was obviously Connor McDavid to win the Art Ross, Austin Matthews, Rocket Richard +236. That's yum. Give me some.
And we remember the old Bouchard assist number last year that Coolbet, and we all rode with that.
Yeah.
Even Iwanic, I think, made about 50 cents on that one. It was
it's
banner
fun.
day for him.
It's fun to sprinkle a little on tennis because it's right there. It quite emotional to get involved in those. Little sprinkle on that, and cheer on our lady and our two boys down in New York.
We are represented. We are represented well on both sides. You're right. So once again, Coolbet.com is where you can find that. The betting partner here for EST and the Nielsen Show. Coolbet.com. Stay cool. Bet responsibly with Coolbet. Zach to come. Lieutenant Eric, Walking Gauge today. Zach will have a quick sports update here. We'll be back with little confessions for Spectrum Rental. If you have any confessions, please feel free to get them in. Maybe you've already done a fantasy draft and you pulled your hamstring or something. 780-218-9999. I see Spectrum Rental. They are right in the Paris Jewelers inbox with their confession. Or you can let us know via the Nasty Chat on YouTube. And Zach, take it away with sports. We got confessions. And Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network. He'll be talking a little Chiefs football to wrap up hour number 2 here on The Nielsen Show.
Last night, the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 7-3 in bizarre fashion. The game was originally played in Boston on June 26, but was postponed. And during that time, catcher Danny Jansen was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox, allowing him to become the first player in MLB history to play the same game for both teams. The Jays play the Red Sox again tonight with first pitch at 5:10. Also in baseball, Aaron Judge hit 1,000 career hits in his win last night against the Nationals. Judge and his Yankees beat the Nationals 5-2. Over in football, the Dallas Cowboys re-signed wide receiver Ceedee Lamb to a 4-year extension worth $136 million. The 25-year-old becomes the second highest paid non-QB with an average salary of $34 million. In the Canadian game, former Ottawa Rough Riders co-owner Bernie Liberman has passed away. During his time as partial owner of the CFL franchise, the league expanded to the U.S., agreeing to split the team in half for the newly made Shreveport Pirates in Louisiana. Lieberman was 85. In tennis, Felix Auger Aliassime, I got to practice that one, plays his first match today at 9, while Canadian Leila Fernandez hits the court at 2:15. Staying in the world of tennis, 16-year-old Iva Jovic won her opening match in the U.S. Open against 2023 Australian Open semifinalist Magda Linette. The American plays her second match on Wednesday. Over in WNBA action last night, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever won 84-79 against the Dream, while the Mystics and Liberty picked up wins against the Storm and the Mercury, respectively. This sports update is brought to you by Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, who actually, as I know, won a rap battle against Josh Clausen, but can't talk about it because Josh paid him off, or else he would have lost his street cred.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki with like a giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner with like an angel band. And I'm in the crowd hammered drunk.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
She broke his heart with a baseball bat. A man with a tendency to overreact out of control. So it goes. The kid with the promise.
7:34 here. It is the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps and on YouTube. Coming to you live from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. The best chicken in town. You don't got to wait in a line that lasts, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever.
No.
Go to Popeyes. That's the place to be. And if I could, I plead, please bring back the flounder sandwich.
Oh, right. I like that thing.
I love that puppy. That was so good, but that's why it's a limited time. It's got me going. Whale and the Wolf, they're leading us in as well. I wanted to mention Whale and the Wolf will be playing at Midway October 19th, and they'll be supporting the, and I don't know if I'm having this right, Gedfest or Jedfest. It's GED Fest 24, and it's basically celebrating the life of Gord Downey. Hypnotical Blues, there'll be a Tragically Hip cover band as well playing that night. Whale and the Wolf will be in support. So
where is it?
October 19th, Midway Music Hall. It's the old, I can't remember what it was before, but I know T-Mac, the rugby guy, works there. Been to a lot of shows there. It's a beautiful place. South Side, by car dealership there. It used to be somebody's going to get this for me. I always forget because I never went to the place before. But once again, Whale and the Wolf supporting Tragically Hip cover band Hypnotical Blues. That's October 19, and that is a Saturday night. So let your hair down. And if you haven't already experienced the latest in erotic rock Edmonton made, that's Whale and the Wolf, with Hypnotical Blues at 11 at Midway Music Hall.
My birthday's on a Saturday this year.
October 19th?
Yeah.
That's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Well,
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we'll Steve Aoki cake you. They're going to throw a cake from the stage or something like that.
As long as someone pops out of a cake, I'm fine.
Whale and the Wolf, you can follow them, and Midway Music Hall, great place to catch some live music here in Edmonton. Weekly Confessions right now. Really quickly, we'll have Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network, joining us here in about 5 minutes or change here, just to get an update on Chiefs preseason and how they open the season against the Ravens next Thursday. But Weekly Confessions brought to you by Spectrum Rental, where they confessed having a collection of lawnmower blades signed by Randy Jackson, because you're not going to get his autograph. Rent an aerator and prepare your lawn for fall today, courtesy Spectrum Rental. You can rent it all there, but, again, the lawn is a season-long thing, not just, summer and everything. Now, it's fall. Put in the work now so it can rest nice over the winter, and you got a nice-looking patch come springtime. Spectrum Rental will help you out. Confessions. You got anything to confess? Have you been a bad boy, a good boy? Is there anything kind of off your mind?
Yes,
that you can?
There is.
You tease something.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
I do not like Metallica fans. They're
Hot
not.
damn,
they're
you're
not
speaking my
good
language
people.
now.
They
Okay.
are not good people at all. So over the weekend, Metallica came to Commonwealth. I was making weens for
Oh, you
for
were
the
there?
mass. I was there.
Okay,
So-
well now, yeah.
And just like most hockey games, there is a point where the alcohol is cut off. Okay. And the amount of people that were yelling at children that they couldn't get an extra Coors Light halfway through Metallica set, where I had to go out and to ask people to stop.
Daddy Gager at the-
multiple. Like I had to
All
go
right.
full security and stand there, and I just couldn't believe these people. Like here's Metallica, a great band. They still play loud. They still play fast. They played some of the hits. I ventured out there for a few, but just the way they treat people, like I couldn't believe it. This band's not going to be around forever. This is one of your, I don't know if it's your last chance to see them. They're getting up there in age.
You never know.
Yep. if what, something can happen. Look at Sid Vicious, right? You'd think that people would sit there and enjoy the music that they've paid their good hard-earned cash, not sit in a line 10 deep waiting to get another
And that
Coors Light.
concourse looked like it was not the place to be.
No. And yelling at kids, 15-year-olds, just trying to make a difference to their, well, in this case, their dancing
Somebody's
careers.
got to be doing something.
And I was so put off. One woman, at the end, I was the grocery stick at the end of the night. So essentially, I was the cutoff line, and that was it. We weren't serving anymore because we had waters, right? And there was maybe some food. And this woman wanted a water, and I was standing there, and I go, "I'm sorry, miss, we're closing for the evening." And she got right up in my face, and was like, started yelling at me a little bit, and then she asked me, "What's your name?" And I
Yes, for your employee number 2 or what? Like
I said Joaquin, and she goes Joaquin. And I go yeah, and she goes, "What's your last name?" I go Gage. And I said it like she should know who I am. Like I was like, don't you know who I am? And and she continued to just yell at me. And I said it was nice to meet you. And she took off and told me what a bad person I was. But I mean, plan ahead, get your stuff right away afterwards, but don't treat people poorly. But it was angry. It was an angry crowd. And I definitely am I'm looking forward to the day I can get back with my Elks people because they are pleasant to deal with.
A show like this does kind of collect a lot of tourists, let's just say, from places that maybe aren't used to a.
Well, there's a lot from
cityscape.
Merritt, BC, I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's the first time in the big city type of deal. And
yeah.
I went. I don't know why, but I went to West Ed on Saturday. I was like, I'll go get a cheeky pint at Hudson's. It was kind of happy hour. I didn't have anything to do. It was like Christmas on roids, the whole mall. I mean, loose jeans, baggy jeans, XL T-shirts, walking around, and nobody knowing how to walk because nobody goes to the mall. So it's just a lot of like standing around and looking and just people not knowing how to act in the moment. But I'm sorry that you had to, and especially as you mentioned, the kids, somebody's got to serve, and they're just doing their job.
Yeah.
And to be that.
Well, swearing at a 15-year-old and telling them they're a joke because I can't get a Molson.
Get that garbage out of here. Get that garbage out of here. You're getting a lot of support here on the text line as well. 100%. Somebody saying boomers, that type of thing. I don't know.
But I'm not. It should be bad. I mean, it's always a few rotten apples ruin the bunch, right?
Yeah, no,
because you
absolutely.
did see some older guys, putting some of their old gear on and going to the Metallica concert, probably like they did back when they were a lot younger and enjoyed it. But man, there were not nice people there at all.
How about Bones? When Gager switches from the apron to the leather, the concession is closed, mother effer.
I like that.
Put that on a placard and have it up there.
That's text of the day right there.
I confess not knowing the, again, Midway Music Hall. I mean, the Ranch, Berry Teas for your...
that there.
There we go.
Right.
The names,
Okay.
that whole area just to me kind of melds into one. So that's my confession. And that's Weekly Confessions for Spectrum Rental. Once again, take care of your lawn season round, but you can rent aerators for that. Such as thing, and get it ready for fall or anything else. But check them out today. Great people, nasties to the bone, and we love them for sponsoring Weekly Confessions. I think is Josh good to go? He's in the bullpen, ready to rock. I love it. We'll continue our modified NFL previews right now, heading down KC Way. Josh Klingler joins us, sideline reporter, Chiefs Radio Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Josh Klingler. Very simple. And I do believe, I was just scouring a bit, I do believe he too was a victim of an AM station kind of closing, layoff, that type of thing. Josh, welcome to the show. You're with Lieutenant Eric and Joaquin Gage here on Edmonton Sports Talk. We'll just start there. What are you doing? It's Chiefs Radio Network, sideline reporter, but were you also on the AM airwaves for a bit of time as well?
Oh, yes. I was a 20-year morning sports talk host like you guys, and recently I have called it retired from daily radio. I was finally burned out of getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning, especially after a number of Chiefs road trips where I was coming straight from the airport to jumping on the air. So I'm happily sleeping in, and today I think I woke up, like a half hour before I joined you guys. So I feel way more refreshed than say like 6 months ago. But no, we have an AM FM combo for the moment. But long-standing sports station finally flipped to the FM dial, and it's gonna be kind of fun. And then the Chiefs radio network right now is on in Kansas City, 2 FMs, and then when available the AM as well. So on a Sunday or whatever day of the week the Chiefs happen to be playing, if you scan the dial in Kansas City, you're pretty much going to come up with the Chiefs broadcast right about now. So we're kind of flooding the airwaves with sports and Chiefs right now in Kansas City.
Well, solidarity there, Josh, too, with the AM mornings and that type of thing. But we'll dive into this, and I also want to mention too, I'm putting a bit of a Taylor Swift moratorium on this little conversation here. Unless you want to talk about it, you get full. If you want to, if you don't want to, that's fine by me. But we don't have to dive into that. Of course, Chiefs and Ravens will kick off the NFL season next Thursday. You can join me, Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, for that one, Fort Road. But defending Super Bowl champions, winless in preseason. We're not going to go over preseason scores and results. But what are you kind of pulling away results aside from the preseason that it's been for the Chiefs thus far?
Yeah, it's been a little bit hard to tell. They haven't had all their pieces, certainly defensively, in the preseason, dealing with a few injuries and just kind of different lineups. Offensively, I think everything's going to be fine. They just didn't play a whole lot with their first team, and there's no reason to for the most part during the preseason. So really hard to kind of gauge anything from those results. But I think what the storyline is going to be to begin the season, obviously, is what can be at the end of the season, and that's the potential to be the first team ever to three-peat. And while not kind of openly discussing that, they did right away after the Super Bowl win. But this is a team that knows they can be part of history. And I don't think that that's going to be something that's necessarily going to be overt throughout the season, but always in the back of their minds and always a big-time goal. And this has been a team that's been super focused, super resilient. It starts from the top down. Andy Reid has pretty much told this team, hey, you don't win this one, there's no chance at history. And so do the things that got you to the level before. And really, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, their 3 leaders, really take their marching orders from Andy Reid, and it's a kind of unified message from the top, and everybody really follows those 4. And so when they're saying the right things, everybody else is saying the right things too. And so I think they want to do it. They definitely want to be that first team to ever do it, but they know that it's a long road ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw yesterday, too, with one of those players back in 2022, and Juju Smith-Schuster returning to the club, 3 touchdowns, close to 1,000 in 16 games back in 22. Your thoughts on this move too, and people can cut this however they want. The insurance for Hollywood Brown currently. Maybe this bleeds into the Rashid Rice stuff. Anything latest there? What do you make of this acquisition and the return of Smith-Schuster to the fold?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering too. But I did ask, and the answer I was given was simply they wanted a veteran depth piece and a guy who's been familiar with the offense, has had success in the offense, was more successful here than when he left. Probably would have stayed around if not for a contract. I mean, he kind of put up his numbers here in one season, and then they were like, okay, you go make your money. And then, to have him kind of circle back, I think is a familiar piece for Patrick Mahomes. Also, I think that probably the need to have a veteran guy in that wide receiver room. If there's one thing that's been a little bit of a downer in the preseason, it's that there's been some kind of secondary jobs to be grabbed from the wide receiver group, and it hasn't really happened. And then, yeah, certainly you have the Hollywood Brown injury, which we still don't know exactly the extent of it. If it's going to extend more than a couple weeks into the regular season, that could be an issue. Rashee Rice, they simply just don't know if there's going to be any NFL type of action this season even. But if there is, I think that they have that prepared for as well. So I think it's just kind of a depth move and a low risk, high reward move. We got a veteran guy on a minimum deal, so that knows the offense. So
yeah.
It's no hurt. It's certainly a plus if there's not, the Brown and Rice situations that factor in. But at this point, it doesn't seem to be the case.
Josh, very interesting first two games for the Chiefs going into the season with the quarterback matchups. You have going up against Lamar Jackson, then the next week it's up against the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. I mean, you can't win the Super Bowl in the first two games, obviously, but how big of a measuring stick is this for the Chiefs to kind of get a gauge of what this season is going to look like? Is this going to be just a shootout between these top quarterbacks in the league, do you think?
Well, we always think that like the first game's the measuring stick. The Chiefs lost their first game last year at home to the Detroit Lions. And so you're like, oh my gosh, this is a big game. You got to set the tone. You got to do all these things. And they went and won the Super Bowl. So I feel like everything seems to be out for this team. Like you can't count them out ever. Last season, there were probably times during the year people thought, well, it was nice, but I don't know if this team's going to be able to make a run. And here they are, they're making a run. So I think it can set the tone a little bit, maybe more so for the others. Like if you knock down Baltimore again, I think Baltimore is a team that's got to feel a little bit snake bitten by the Chiefs. Finally got that AFC Championship game in their home building last year and couldn't get it done. The Bengals, obviously, a team that's probably had the most success in this run against the Chiefs head-to-head, but how healthy is Burrow to start? And they probably have some questions of their own. But certainly Baltimore, Cincinnati, and probably Buffalo, along with the Chiefs, those are the four best teams, I think, in the AFC. And you get two of those three in the first two games of the season, and then the third one, probably like midway through the campaign. And so, yeah, these are big games, I think, for standings later on. Probably won't mean a lot to how either team or any of these teams are playing come postseason time. But it's hard to tell whether it sets the tone. You always feel like it's going too early, and then, like I said last year, I don't know what set the tone, because the tone was set very, very late. So this is a Chiefs team that seems to have a nice build to it. And, certainly they're gonna want to go out and get a victory on opening night. I think probably losing last year on opening night probably helps in that regard too.
NFL season kicking off next Thursday, September 5. Chiefs at home to the Ravens. We're joined by Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network, at Josh Klingler on Twitter. And you're talking about schedule too. NFC South. I know there's no easy out in pro football, and any cliche you want to say, but maybe taking a look at that division as well in terms of schedule strength might be something that aids the Chiefs moving forward. We do have a listener submitted question here. Josh comes in from the coach. Hey, boys, when talking, can you ask about Wookiee wide receiver Xavier Worthy and his role within the offense? And we've mentioned some names already. I mean, is it a stacked weaponry group here for Mahomes and the Chiefs? But if you could just touch on Xavier Worthy, what you've seen so far and your expectations for the season ahead.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a lot of expectations. And that's saying a lot coming into a back-to-back Super Bowl championship team where he steps in as a first-round pick at wide receiver. Certainly will be under the microscope in Kansas City because they haven't had that first-round wide receiver and they've kind of pined for it around here since the addition of Mahomes. Like, give him weapons, and now they do, to be able to push the ball back down the field. This is an offense that last year I think figured itself out and played as well as they could with the pieces they had, and really figured it out well late. And I'll give him a ton of credit for that, Mahomes included. Really kind of showed that he could play a different type of game maybe than he wants. This year they are hoping to tear the cover back off of it and get the ball down the field. Now, obviously the Hollywood Brown issue, could slow that down a little bit, but Worthy's a guy that can get down the field with speed. They've shown no signs of not wanting to throw it over the top to him. He's been able to get down the field and create some problems down the field. So they're really hoping to use his speed. Hampered a little bit with kind of a hamstring issue at times during camp, but has been healthy as of late. So as long as those things don't flare back up, he's a guy that's going to get a lot of vertical looks in this Chiefs offense.
Josh, kind of final one for you. We talked so much about this offense, and granted, I mean, it is worth its price admission there. But talking about the defense, you mentioned Chris Jones, one of those leaders. But what can you tell us, fans listening as well, about that D? A bit of the same, a bit different, changes to expect. How do you kind of see the defense complementing this offense throughout the season? And as you mentioned, looking for this three-peat.
Yeah, Chris Jones has been an interesting one because he signed a big contract, and I think basically to make him a lifetimer in a Chiefs uniform, which I think is good. Fans love it, and I think Chris has probably earned it. And then he said, I'd like to kind of take it easy at camp. And we kind of went, let's see if Coach Reed will do that. And they kind of did, and he didn't appear in any of the preseason games. Now, it's not to say I don't expect him to come flying out of the chute in the opener, but we just haven't seen him, certainly in games. He's participated in practices, but they've kind of had him on a pitch count to kind of preserve him. And then middle linebacker Nick Bolton has been injured all of preseason as well. So those are your two big starters right up the middle for this Chiefs defense. So the defense specifically, we just haven't seen as a full unit in the preseason. So that will be a little bit of a waiting game. Can they be as good as they were last year? Man, they were the difference. That's why they won the Super Bowl last year. I mean, Mahomes and Kelsey and the offense really adjusted to their skill set last year, but it was a defense that then ended up leading this team to a Super Bowl title. So can they back that will remain to be seen. They do lose their best defensive back in L'Jarius Sneed, who signed with the Tennessee Titans. But they really love the compliment behind him. And I think, one of the guys that's going to be kind of the next breakout name is Trent McDuffie, who played alongside Sneed at that corner position. He won't play exactly the role of Sneed a season ago, who basically followed the number one wide receiver all around the field, but probably not going to play a defense like that this year. And so we'll have to kind of make it work. The second corner maybe is the biggest question on defense for them, if they can find somebody to complement McDuffie, and then maybe the injury status at linebacker with Nick Bolton. I'm assuming he's going to be available for the opening game. There's not a ton of depth, I think, behind the top three linebackers, but again, I feel like we're just picking at things at times. There are a lot of teams with a lot of problems, guys, and the Chiefs have just like a minor few question marks. It's kind of arrogant and gross, but that's kind of where the land that they're living in right now. Like, oh, do they have a fourth receiver and a fifth corner they can count on? So it's been kind of an embarrassment of riches, and they've done a terrific job of drafting and complementing their group, paying the guys they felt like are the backbone of this team, and this thing just keeps kind of reloading here.
Well, it'll be fascinating to watch, Josh, and I mean, that goes for the conference as a whole, but I mean, the Chiefs right smack dab in the middle of things, and again, that all kicks off next Thursday. We really appreciate your time, man. Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Josh Klingler. Josh, good luck, best of luck, both with Chiefs Radio Network and the season ahead, man, and enjoy everything to come starting next Thursday.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's been a pretty wild ride for the last 5 seasons where everything has ended very, very late in the year, and so their expectation levels continue to go higher and higher, and they're expecting to be around late again this season. We'll see.
Yeah, no cruel summers with Chiefs fans as of late, but you take care, Josh.
Not at all. Thank you, guys.
You saw what I did there.
Yeah, I saw it.
This is I'm a Bills guy.
Yeah.
Died in but they're always fun to watch. The AFC as a whole is fun to watch, and I think again, playing the NFC South this year as the Chiefs are, you go to Coolbet or whatever. They should be right up there in terms of getting that three-peat.
I love the fact, like, you think it's rabid here. He mentioned 3 radio stations that broadcast Chiefs stuff
up and down the dial.
just
you
constantly.
Can't get away from it.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, the culture of NFL football in the States, especially in those cities where most cities, they are the main attraction, but when there's nothing else, it's all the surrounding little areas, the little pubs that bleed whatever, well, in this case,
when you
Kansas
think of
City
tailgating
Chiefs.
too, like Arrowhead, like those places, not necessarily a cityscape, that type of MetLife or whatever. You're going at those big parking lot in the middle of nowhere, that type of thing.
Massive parking lot, like hundreds of thousands of people just sitting there watching the game, cooking meat, like it's just drinking. It's pretty impressive. I always like I like dynasties. I guess. I don't know what it is about.
If it's not affecting your, if it's not a rival or whatever, you can watch from afar, a neutral point of view.
Even if in that case, I appreciate. You can. I can appreciate the brilliance of Patrick Mahomes and
especially modern day sports, the business of sports, all that to keep teams together and caps and
to keep
money moving.
But now you reading off some of the weapons he has. That's
it's
scary.
the rich getting richer here.
Yeah.
And even Xavier Worthy, you just add him to the fold.
Jeez, it's just scary because he's so elusive. Like that. What was that? I saw that behind the back.
Just adding to the repertoire as you do in preseason. Yeah,
for him to just go, oh, I'm mad at Kelsey because he's not. I'm just going to do this to him, and he's still. That's crazy.
Yeah, that whole back and forth of how that play kind of developed was very, very interesting.
Awesome.
But once again, all you Chiefs fans out there, at Josh Klingler, Klingler. Great follow on Twitter and part of that Chiefs radio network. And once again, you can join me, Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, Fort Road, both Monday and Thursday night football throughout the NFL season. Food, drink specials, your chance to win prizes as well throughout the season. That all kicks off next Thursday, as mentioned. Hell of a game to kick it off as well. Ravens visiting the Chiefs. So make some plans. Join me if you will. Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge next Thursday, Fort Road. Always a good time. Of course, that's for Maddie and Milne. And just on that note as well, somebody suggesting the Elks tailgates for moments or what are we talking here? Events of the year.
Exactly.
I mean, look, the CFL is not the NFL. I hate comparisons. It's football, albeit a different flavor. But just tailgating and stuff and even joining me for the Mondays and Thursdays. Make a habit of getting down and seeing Maddie and Milne for those green and gold kickoff shows and post-game shows because, again, great food down at the casino. You got the ponies going on. Everything is kind of going on at once. The TV wrap. You know how it does down there at Century. But just a good time.
The CFL has been quite interesting this year, I think, with everything. It's...
This is... And again... When you only have 9 teams, you can focus on the bat a lot more. NFL, you can have half the schedule, but then you focus on a couple of good games. Marshall Ferguson will join us at 8:30 for more on that because taking a look at where everything is now, especially in the West, approaching Labor Day, like the Elks could be, they could fly extremely high here over the next 4 weeks, or we could be talking next year country, which, again, I think a lot of fans probably maybe predicted. So nothing to lose for the Elks right now, but it's going to be a very interesting month ahead for the Elks and all those teams in the West for sure. We'll have more on that. Marshall Ferguson, 8:30. He'll touch on the week it was in the CFL leading up to Labor Day, and maybe even a racing cue or two for him as well. His thoughts on Zandvoort in the Dutch Grand Prix. This is The Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps. And on YouTube as well. Where are you at with that like? I heard changing 154. That's okay. I think we can change 200 easily before the show's done. And hit that sub button as well. We're on the quest for the 10,000 subscribers, and we're not looking for 10,000 this morning. Just once again, if you're I don't know, on the bus, if you're at work, like somebody's got, hey, you got a YouTube account? Quick, give me your phone. Boom, sub, and away you go. It's easy as that. So. Hit the sub, hit the like on YouTube. Give us a little hand here as well. And our quest in pursuit of 10K continues. Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage in for Dustin Nielsen this morning. Zacticum locking it down with that kaleidoscope of Seahawks. It's an Era's jersey, again, for the Taylor Swift ad. But you have every Seahawks jersey implemented in one jersey this morning. And the Kraken hat as well. Very drippy of you for Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't even know where... I got this jersey for $25 For people who don't see it, it's very fake. It feels like, but
the stitching is a little.
I'm rocking the Russ. I guess that's my team. That's where my allegiance lies, and that's who I picked when I first got into the NFL. So I got to rock the Seattle merch. Just I don't know. It's sort of kind of matching. I mean. I'm drippy. I was drippy yesterday too.
You were doing
the
yesterday
Flyers.
the Hextall Orange, and now it's on the. I can't wait till tomorrow. But we'll get a sports update from Zach here on the way. Kind of easy trivia as well. If you want to play, text Zach, Paris Drewler's inbox 780-218-9999. And of course, if you just get 3 out of 5 this morning, Walking Gauge will have the questions. You'll be off to Mr. Mike's. Treat yourself and a friend if you want. But money on the line for Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual on the way. Kind of easy trivia. 3 questions too many. As mentioned, Marshall Ferguson. And the wrap for hour number 3 here on the Nielson Show.
Last night, the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 7-3 in bizarre fashion, with the game originally being played in Boston back in June, but it was postponed until last night. And during that time, catcher Danny Jansen was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox, allowing him to become the first player in MLB history to play the same game for both teams. The Jays play the Red Sox again tonight with first pitch just after 5. Also in baseball, Aaron Judge hit 1,000 career hits in a win against the Nationals. Judge and his Yankees beat them 5-2. Over in football, the Dallas Cowboys re-signed wide receiver Ceedee Lamb to a 4-year deal worth $36 million. The 25-year-old becomes the second highest paid non-quarterback with an average salary of $34 million. Over in the Canadian game, former Ottawa Rough Riders co-owner Bernie Gleiberman has passed away. During his time as partial owner of the CFL franchise, the league expanded to the U.S., agreeing to split the team in half to play for the newly made Shreveport Pirates of Louisiana. Gleiberman was 85. Over in tennis, Felix Auger-Aliassime has his own opening match today at 9, while Denis Shapovalov hits the court just after noon. Diana Andreescu also plays at 5 tonight. Staying in the world of tennis, 16-year-old Iva Jovic won her opening match in the U.S. Open against 2023 Australian Open semifinalist Magda Linette. The American plays her second match on Wednesday. Take your career to the next level with Claiborne Services. They're hiring all positions, including journeyman bricklayers and apprentices of all levels. Take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program and work with peace of mind, knowing they are an industry leader in safety. Visit www.claiborneservices.com or make it easy and give Jeff a call at 780-910-6728.
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Mm. 8:04. It is the Nielsen Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps and live, that nice big wide fisheye lens on YouTube. Somebody said it reminds them of the old 90s skateboarding videos. You know, they always had that kind of, you know, doing ollies and pop shove-its and all that. But the Nielsen Show, as always, presented by Southfort Chevrolet. This month's incentive is employee pricing once again. You can save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban, $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. Additionally, if you choose not to take those discounts, you can get 0% financing on select trucks and SUVs on approved credit. They're also launching a back-to-school drive, an initiative to fill a truck with school supplies for local donation. They're asking people to drop off new grade school supplies at South Fort Chev during regular business hours out in Fort Saskatchewan. Each donation comes with a chance to win a detail package and a $150 gift card to Source for Sports. You give a little, you could get a little here. That's great. It's great. They give you the option as well on those deals. So go see them today. Daniel and Claire, once again, just great staff. Had the privilege of being behind them at the ESTY Classic, and they knew how to party. Again, people, it's nice to have sponsors, but it's nice sponsors that fit in and get what we're doing here and really kind of live the EST and the AM nasty, shall we say. Big Maple coming in hard for text of the day here as Joaquin Gage this morning in for Dustin Nielsen. EST should hire Mike Babcock on a one-day deal to stand at an entrance at West Edmonton Mall. That should push us well over 10K with the way he takes people's phones. Why didn't we think of this before?
Yeah.
You would smash. We get to the 100,000. Mr. Beast would be sending us an award. Babcock, he's taking all the phones. He's subbing people, and it'd just take a day. It'd be
it wouldn't take long at all.
No. We could hire him. It'd be a
month on Bourbon Street.
Easy.
Little EST Babcock booth.
Yeah. You don't give him the phone. And Belsy there beside him to kind of make sure everything's good. You were getting a lot of love, too. I kind of want to almost revisit that whole Metallica experience, too, because I do believe we're kind of selling it short because, I mean, it just...
Oh, man, I was
good people watching in general, but for your side, I mean, just the negativity of it all and that lady getting into your face.
Yeah.
Joaquin.
And then...
And she got nothing else. You can tell. She's just trying to...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, She was, she said something about, something about rights and getting water and stuff like that. And I was just like, I did mess with a few people at Commonwealth, though, in the bathrooms. Because the trough, the hand washing stations.
Yeah. Oh, no.
A lot of people, it's funny, they don't know how it works, right?
Well, some a lot more than others. If you remember that newspaper article back in the day.
Oh, I don't know. I don't. Oh, right. Yeah, no. No, this was just I was messing with one guy in particular where he kept going to wash it. He thought it was motion activated.
Oh no.
So when I saw this and I just kind of stepped on it real quick and he was like, "Oh," and then it obviously turned off. And then he was like pushing his hands around. I might have watched for an extra 4 seconds, maybe 5. And then I go, you just got to step on it. He goes, "Oh, thanks." But
you could have kept him there all night.
I thought about it and just grabbing my phone and just stepping on it, like backing up a little bit and just messing with him. But no, it was quite funny. But other than that, that was my enjoyable time. The other part was just disgusting.
Deaky Sparks chimes in Paris Jeweler's inbox. Gager to that woman. That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me. Says another thing. Engage your skin, that smoke wagon. Love you guys. Morgan says, I absolutely cannot stand people who treat the frontline workers poorly. For one thing, you, the customer, likely in the wrong anyways. I mean, it's usually coming from a point of frustration. Like, oh, it's closed. I should have gotten here early, but I'm going to take it out on them.
There was a new worker with her family. She's got 3 girls and a boy, 1 in hockey, 3 girls in dance. Like that's a commitment, right? And she's working hard to help her girls, with competition fees, all those types of things. Like everyone's in there for the betterment of their kids, basically.
Yeah.
That's who's working in concessions, right?
Yeah.
So to help out with a little bit of and the money, it's not like we get paid. Like it goes just towards.
You don't wake
dance.
up in the morning to ruin people's day. Like that's not the MO
we're
here,
just
right?
we're trying to do the best job we can, and then when you get that from people, like the way that she was, well, she couldn't look down on me because she was small. I was towering over her, but she was like to just belittle me. She was trying to just make me feel so small, and I was kind of just smiling at her. But another chance of I should just wear a GoPro all the time because it was pretty funny when I actually said my name to her and like, don't you know who I am?
I'm your huckleberry.
It's that's the other part that was funny too. The new girl that was working there with the larger family. She asked me, "Oh, do you watch hockey?" And I when I meet people in the wild, if they don't know me, I'm not like, I'm.
You are approaching though now like a generation like. A bit of a gap.
Oh, there's a massive gap.
So
there's a massive gap.
You understand that sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't want to be,
there's a dance that you've got to do.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal. No, but she asked me all these hockey questions, but then her husband that was in a different concession came by to say hi to her. And so I was introduced to him. He knew me right away. And he was like, "Oh, I go, nice to meet you." And I go, "Oh, nice to meet you too." And because when his wife asked, "Do you like hockey?" I go, "Yeah, I like it." And then so a few minutes later, after he left, I came around the corner and she was looking at me.
Egg on the face.
And she goes, "So you do like hockey?" Which I go, "Yeah, I guess I did." I did.
I dabbled. Yeah, I don't mind at the odd time. Yeah.
So it was pretty funny.
Zach will be wrangling up somebody for kind of easy trivia here. Gager will have the questions once again on the line. Mr. Mike's GC, Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever. And of course, we're dealing with the one up north here, kind of by Pro-Am, 137th Ave, Mark Messier Trail, 6 o'clock or lager on tap, casualest place ever. Hampton Inn, that's the one, and it's nice because I like going there, sitting at the wood. You can have a couple of drinks, and you do feel like you're on a vacation with that hotel vibe around, too. It's kind of nice. Have a vacation within the city center limits and visit Mr. Mike's today. And, Zach, you can take your time, let us know. If somebody else wants to play, if you can't get a hold of anybody, once again, 780-218-9999. Maybe you can swoop in here and pop the queue here, and maybe Zach will be calling you for a chance at that Mr. Mike's gift card. Nerdin Punkin DV says, hey, LTE and Gager, great show this morning. I think an oil stream live at the rink in West Edmonton Mall during an Oilers skate would be pretty cool. Have a great day. Okay, something to pass along to the boys there. I know it's BP's is usually the HQ for a lot of those oil streams on location. Looked like a great one yesterday. Dusty had the group shot. Your co-host there, Hernan, as well.
Yeah, I stopped by for a quick sec because my daughter was finishing up some of her dance stuff, so it was just around the corner, so I could poke my head in. But yeah, it looked like
patio, eh?
Oh, you know what was
wasp action out there?
The wasps?
Was it?
Oh yeah,
yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah. It's nuts, man. That's where my my bug assault comes in quite handy, though. I should bring it in. I'll show you.
Is it?
No, it's a gun.
A gun? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've posted some of those pictures, the videos that.
The slow-mo type of, it's like Jack Reacher type of stuff. I love that. Actually, it's coming up in 3 questions for me. But I also, with the wasp action, I don't know if you've seen those bags you buy with the little, it's a dissolving pellet in there. You pour some water in. And I mean, I didn't act. They always there's tons of them anywhere you go, beginning of the season. But I wanted some of them we can I think you could probably sell those now for like $5,000 a bag. It is a hot commodity. But I got one in the backyard. It's trapped about 500, and they're still crawling in there. It's a beautiful thing to see.
I've got a trap. I didn't put it out. It's not too bad at my house, but yeah, I put that out there, and it takes it takes a day or so, right?
There's
nothing, and then it's like they're all in there. So I usually stock up on the lure or whatever at old Canadian Tire and just have it ready.
Can't wait till the day where they get when they get that drunk, lazy, confused thing. Is that the first frost? Like they
they're just kind of lumbering around and hitting everything.
Not as aggressive.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. Gager, I feel for you. Hampton Steve says, I saw something similar last time the UFC was here. Entitled, drunk, angry people who don't have any manners and will say and do anything to try and get more alcohol. Ain't it the truth?
It's just not. I don't know.
It's almost like booze makes people different. I don't know what it is.
It's weird. It's weird. I mean, but I didn't understand how such an iconic band like Metallica that you wouldn't like. I felt FOMO the whole night. Kind of, you'd hear a song that you'd flash back to a memory, and wouldn't you want to make sure? Like I understand the trips to the bathroom. That's fine.
You got to go.
You got to go. You got to do what you got to do. Like there was one guy in there. There was some real funny bathroom moments actually when I think about it. But one guy, a song came on, and the guy was at the urinal just going, and he just a big lean back goes, "Why now with that song? Why do I have to be in here?" Like and I was like, it was kind of funny, and there was some some guys imitating Sean Bell in the stalls, and one guy just words of encouragement right from the next door stall, which I stood there and listened to for at least a good 3-4 minutes, and he's going, just go, man.
Well, it's
just
like a good mosh pit. Somebody falls, you pick them up. You're trying to help each other and everything.
It's Metallica. You're part of the family. It's part of the stuff. We just got to purge and get right back at it.
Missing Metallica for a beer is a crime, Zulu says. Jason LeDuc, we use the crappy beer people leave behind, catch slugs in the garden with beer too, in terms of the wasp stuff. So, it's thank you for sharing. And again, it's as you say, you're not trying to lump everybody in, but certainly when you get a big throng of people, and mostly I'll say too, a lot of people, that's their trip, the out of town thing, coming from the big city, and it gets a little away on them.
But I do wish that when that woman was yelling at me and saying, I just wish I
dude
could have hit that.
We got one in the boat, Zach.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we wrangled somebody. There wasn't many takers for Mr. Mike's. So, I mean, every day, 8:05, we play Mr. Mike's Kind of Easy Trivia. We got Vaughn today on the line.
Mo Vaughn.
Love it.
I always like to call him Mo Vaughn. Vaughn, how you doing? You've played before, hey?
Oh, yeah, quite a few times.
Yeah, this is old hat for you, a wily vet. You know the score then. Gager will ask the questions. You need at least 3 out of 5. And the ticker will start after he reads the first one. You're playing for a Mr. Mike's GC. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, Vaughn. What major tennis tournament started this week?
The Open.
Who's gracing the cover of this year's NHL 25 video game? The Three Musketeers or the Hughes brothers?
The Hughes brothers.
What F1 driver won his second Grand Prix race for McLaren this weekend?
Verstappen.
True or false? Does school begin this week for kids?
Yes.
What is the name of the psycho vicious wrestler who passed away?
Sid.
He got it.
He got it. It's off to Mr. Mike's.
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
That's a paddling.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules.
Oh, you better believe that's a paddling.
And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
That's a paddling.
The first year, we took it to the limit. Take it to the limit.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
4 for 5 for old Vaughn.
Vaughn is off the Open, U.S. Open. He corrected himself there. The school one is kind of funny. Like, yes. Why not? I mean, sure, yeah. This week, next week, whatever. The Sid got that. Buzzer, whatever. The
threw out Verstappen. Obviously not as big into F1.
But a good guess.
Good
if you're
guess.
not, I mean, that's where you go.
For most people, they would probably guess that.
I'd probably guess the Three Musketeers. He got that one right as well. So.
I was worried about that one mostly.
Well, you never know. In the NHL, you can't put it past him. Right?
Yeah.
But congrats
That's pretty
to
cool,
Vaughn.
though. The Hughes brothers on the cover of a video game.
Yeah, like, because in sports, you don't get a chance. You get brothers and at their own the same time and good players, not just average.
Oh,
or
they're
whatever.
really good.
So,
yeah. But I mean, I'm looking at legacy kind of things. That's something that, family get-togethers years and years down the road that they have this, the cover of a video game for their kids, grandkids to look at. That's pretty neat, man.
Each family has the,
yeah.
I look better. No, I look better. That inter-family rivalry there. Every time I went to buy a hot dog, I was looking for Gager, Rubella 2.0 says. Which I assume, again, the Metallica show. Cash chimes in at the nasty chat on YouTube. Hernan had one die a slow death in his Belgian moon yesterday, which I assume... I saw Cash in that photo too, but Wasp kind of dying in the... Yeah, you just kind of let him go. I always have and that's why whenever I'm outside too, it's the palm over top of the beer can. I don't let any air escaping or getting into that puppy. I've never been stung. I told Dusty that yesterday. I confessed this morning, Spectrum Rental, but I've never been stung or bitten by a wasp bee. So I don't know if I could pass away. I don't know.
You could blow up.
I should maybe test that, right?
Probably.
Like in a controlled environment. Or just keep an epi, I guess. But congrats to Vaughn. He's off to Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever. Hampton Inn, 137th Ave, Mark Messier Trail. Check them out today, GC or not. And you'll have a good time there, guaranteed. 3 questions too many right now, brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, who, after missing out on Juju Smith-Schuster yesterday, also missing out on Ceedee Lamb, but they will get their receiver one of these days. Park Mazda, your dealer for life. You can check them out, parkmazda.ca or in Sherwood Park. Go down there and say hi to the fine folks. Tell them EST sent you, Mitch Lewicki. Great dealer principal when it comes to Park Mazda. Socials. Let's get this going here. Zactigum, you are on social media in a variety of accounts. Let us know where people can follow you. Instagram, Twitter, and the like.
Yeah, on Instagram and Twitter, it's the same thing for me. Zachary HMK. That's ZACHARY HMK. And don't forget, Edmonton Sports Talk is on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, basically the whole bit. Yeg Sports Talk on Twitter, Edmonton Sports Talk on the others. It's pretty easy to find, but we're everywhere, so make sure you try and reach us.
Gager. What's going on in the finance too? Like any more, given the season's changing?
Well, this time of year, usually it heats up because of the everyone gets back into a routine. Summer's kind of, it's summer. I'll get around to it. But now kids get back to school. The fall is usually, I gotta get that in order. So everyone starts a little bit of fall cleaning. So it should pick up a little. Historically, it does pick up. Although the summertime it's usually down. It was quite steady throughout. So usually there's not a lot going on. So,
but a different summer, especially in these parts with that extended run.
Yeah,
and I think we knew this before. Summer, even the vacation here, we're all kind of smashing in vacation time because you kind of couldn't during the regular summer that we've always kind of had.
So, but no, it's we're gearing up for a lot more videos and stuff, some educational things. Even Hernan and I will probably have a Financial Fridays.
I like that. Yeah,
just a little tidbits of maybe things going on or something that maybe resonates more with some of the listeners. And if you have any questions, please during our show with my show with Hernan, fire my way, and I can respond to you directly, or maybe it's even a discussion for Financial Fridays that we'll have.
This is great. I love this. And for the people again who don't know, yourself and Hernan starting what time? The 5 W's here.
Next week, 1 to 3. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, afternoons on EST. We're kind of finalizing what we're going to have each Monday to Friday. Obviously, we are in a hockey city. There'll be some hockey talk on there, but we want to encompass all sports, I think, to an extent, and some of the loves that Hernan and I have for particular sports. I might even sprinkle a little F1 in there at times, I'm sure.
This is the show and relationship I never knew I needed. And I think I speak for we as well. Like I love this relationship between the two of you. Mixing in the finance and everything. Again, you bring a little something, he brings a little something. Yeah. You come together under the whole Oilers and hockey umbrella. Beautiful thing.
I can't wait to hear some over the past, 4 years with the Elks? Some stories in there. I don't know what
from the road. He's seeing the nation. What a great job to kind of see the country on an expense dime, I guess, from the team.
That's a type of job that you don't really get a peek behind the curtain to see what actually transpires. So I'm curious to see what that entails. But yeah, just being part of the team. I'm here a lot anyways, so and might as well add more to my plate. And actually, when you're busy, you actually accomplish more, I think. Anyways.
Well, I think for you too, and I mentioned earlier, like I hate having time off because you do kind of feel, and you coming in sporadically is kind of like a rhythm developing.
See, that's kind of where now I'll have more of a, I mean, we had the 2 guys Tuesday and Thursday, which we'll still do, right, with Cass and stuff. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and leading into Reed's show, right? So it's going to be great. Dusty's already. It's funny he's such a little kid, but he's very excited.
He's your number one fan.
Yeah, it's great
already. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
He'll be phoning in for Financial Fridays.
Who would have thought that one chance encounter at a Canadian Tire led to this?
Dreams come true at Canadian Tire. Also, the place where you get those wasp bags. They're sold out right now. But if you find one, if you see one on the street, let me know. I think Yukon Jack has a couple. I'm going to write a check for him this afternoon. But 3 questions to me right now. We'll dive into this quickly here. Ahead of Marshall Ferguson, he'll be joining us just after 8:30 for more on the CFL and Formula One. But Zach, feel free to chime in on these as well. Question 1, boys. How well will the Elks do over the next 4 games? I'm looking a little ahead because you mentioned, Joaquin, it is chaotic in the West right now. And just to give you the lowdown on what it looks like, the Elks, of course, heading into Labor Day weekend, Monday in Calgary. You got the rematch back here, to which I'm seeing the seat sales right now. You might have to be a little more wiener action in the concession for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets are selling fast for the rematch. And then the Elks get a back-to-back with the Bombers, to which the Bombers, of course, have their back-to-back with the Riders. So all those things happening, the next 4 weeks are going to tell quite a tale. How do you see the Elks kind of emerging from those 2 back-to-backs against both the Stamps and the Bombers?
I like their chances against the Stamps. Like I think they could have won that game against Montreal.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to it with Marshall Ferguson. This third quarter drought. It's
the numbers are unreal.
It's crazy. It's going to be difficult against a Blue Bombers team that seem to be figuring it out again and finding that championship form, so to speak, a little bit now. But you could say the Elks are finding their way. I think I'm sure we'll ask Marshall, what does he think about the quarterback position? Does Trey Ford looks like he's getting ready to come back? Does he get the start again and take the reins? I'm confident that they can win 3 out of the next 4, just on the roll that they're on.
I'm with you too. I think I'm very bullish with them against the Stamps. I not so much that, just from what I've seen from Calgary this season, they don't necessarily light the world on fire. It's this 4-1 home record opposed to an 0-5 road record for them. So I like Edmonton kind of coming off this loss to Montreal. I think that kind of froth at the mouth, if you will. Yeah. And Calgary's coming off a bye, which again, I think coming off a bye at certain times might be fortuitous to you, but in this case, heading into a charged Labor Day weekend, I think you'd want to be.
You want to be, a little bit amped up. I mean, I think especially it's talked about, it's famous.
It's a big one.
The Labor Day Classic is a big deal.
You've been sitting around maybe a little too long, especially if it comes on a Monday, a couple extra days. I like them sweeping the Calgary series, and I like them getting the one at home here against Winnipeg.
And get the split?
Winnipeg 1-4 on the road, 4-2 at home. Not to say, whatever, but when it's a tougher team to, I think, play in Winnipeg, obviously. The fans, the rum hut, all that stuff. Stanley Bryant, we had Jeff Hamilton on yesterday. His injury, getting taken to the hospital, whatever it was. A big blow. And that guy, like an iron player, like never misses any time.
Right.
Huge for Caleros, protecting him on that line. So that'll be interesting to see, again, how long he's out, especially this weekend against that Rider front. But yeah, I like him. I like him taking both against Calgary, and especially coming home here with, again, I mentioned the ticket sales, just the vibe. The tailgate's always been good, even when they were winless. If they go down and win Labor Day Monday, that place is going to be electric come the rematch. So I like them both against the Stamps, and I'll see them taking one here against Winnipeg as well. Zach, what do you think? 500, are you looking for a perfect record from them? Where are you going on this?
Honestly, they've been on fire, and coming into the Labor Day rematch, I don't know. I have high hopes. I'd like to see them win because it's a big marquee event really throughout this season, and that's the next time we're at the tailgate. So just to have people show up and to have a good time and to get the win would be huge, especially at home. I think the fans really need it, really want it. But honestly, expectations just throughout the rest of the 4 games, I don't know, just go out and play hard. I mean, it was very close against the Alouettes, just a 4-point game really. It came down to that last drive, that last play. So honestly, if the Elks keep racking up the wins, that'll be great. But the start of the season, they kind of put themselves in that position, but now they could be tough.
Nothing to lose in a sense. Like you don't have that kind of we sucked anyways, air quotes. Now you're kind of.
I mean, I think there was some belief going in. Like they looked like a team that believed that they could win that game. It wasn't It wasn't a defeated team. Like
this isn't a tie cat type of situation.
I think they're obviously you stay in the moment game to game as a player, but you can't tell me that as an organization they weren't looking at this Labor Day games against a Stampeders team that
2 points up on them in the standings.
Good home record, horrendous on the road. That they could by the end of this be in a playoff spot, right? So down to taking care of business. I don't think anything changes. Their mindset was, look, we should have won that game. They could have said that about a lot of games this year, but I just think with everything that's changed. Coaching, quarterback to an extent, and team ownership. That the train is.
You got a bit of a pop there.
It's a little bit more on the tracks than off. It's not that LRT train that they're back on.
How can you? Why you turning on a red? The truck turning. What are you doing there?
Have you been over there?
No, but I mean
terrible.
Red light. I mean,
I know, but the red light lasts for like 8 minutes sometimes, and people don't look left or right. But it's a weird place. I just want to say there's gonna be more derailments. I think
it's like a dead zone in terms of like Wi-Fi or something. Like, it's just kind of like no service there.
Yeah, it's the Bermuda Triangle of Edmonton.
Propane Pimp says split with Calgary, lose both against the Bombers. So have your say as well. 780-218-9999. We'll have more Marshall Ferguson. He'll join us in a matter of minutes. Gliding through 3 questions, too many right now. Tony D'Angelo, Tyson Barrie, Dante Fabro, Justin Schultz, Kevin Shattenkirk for Oil PTO. Who do you want? Who do you think they get? Or somebody else off the list if you want
to. Whatever. I have to dive deep, but right off the top of my, I just think Tyson Barrie.
I do too.
Just coming back.
Yeah, the storyline and
plug and play a little bit to there. You're not. And I didn't mind. Like, he was playing quite well before that trade. Like, there was something there. And if something did happen to Bouchard, Barrie goes right.
It was a gift to get for Ekholm in a sense, and then but you didn't necessarily want to get rid of him. But and question number 3, I watched Jack Reacher for the first time last night. Favorite Tom Cruise role?
Oh, jeez.
I mean, the old "show me the money" is always the that's always a scene, I guess. Are you a Tom Cruise aficionado there, Zach? Do you appreciate his work?
I guess I appreciate his work. Looking from afar,
a
little bit.
Appearance too. That's in game.
I think his first appearance in a movie was The Outsiders or something. I love that movie.
Is that the with the gang or whatever?
Yeah, that's with the gang.
Pony Boy and all
Johnny
that.
Boy or Jim Boy or Jim Bob.
I love that.
Swayze's in there. There's
a
some
movie.
And it really tugs on the emotions. It's
Tropic Thunder is
been through a lot.
He's great in Tropic Thunder. When the agent.
I guess when you say his name though, like you see Top Gun, or there's like always a default with him. Like
I mean, he's a
Mission Impossibles.
I just watched one of the Mission Impossibles, the Fallout. Like, yeah, I would.
Little Eyes Wide Shut.
Maybe. No, I'd have to say Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible series.
I really like Jack Reacher. That was a good movie. Good.
Film. They were great. And of course, everyone just complains because he's not. If you read the books, Jack Reacher's like 6'6".
Well,
and
he got smoked in the back of the head by a baseball bat and continued to beat up 5 people on the hop.
That's awesome.
That's 3 questions too many, brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda. We had a quick sports update from Zactum on the way. Marshall Ferguson, I do believe he's in the bullpen, ready to go. We're going to recap the week it was in the CFL, set up a huge Labor Day weekend, and his thoughts on the Formula One second half of the season. We go from Zandvoort to Monza. That's all coming up next on The Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Last night, the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 7-3 in a bizarre game, which was originally played in Boston on June 26, but was postponed to last night. During that time, catcher Danny Jansen was traded from the Jays to the Red Sox, allowing him to become the first player in MLB history to play the same game for both teams. The Jays play the Red Sox again tonight with first pitch at 5:10. Also in baseball, Aaron Judge hit 1,000 career hits in a win against the Nationals. Judge and his Yankees beat them 5-2. Over in football, the Dallas Cowboys re-signed wide receiver Ceedee Lamb to a 4-year deal worth $136 million. The 25-year-old becomes the second highest paid non-quarterback with an average salary of $34 million. Over in the Canadian game, former Ottawa Rough Riders co-owner Bernie Gleiberman has passed away. During his time as partial owner of the CFL franchise, the league expanded to the U.S., agreeing to split the team in half to suit up for the newly made Shreveport Pirates in Louisiana. Gleiberman was 85. In tennis, Felix Auger-Aliassime has his opening match today at 9, and Denis Shapovalov hits the court just after noon. Bianca Andreescu also plays at 5 tonight. Staying in the world of tennis, 16-year-old Iva Jovic won her opening match in the U.S. Open against 2023 Australian Open semifinalist Magda Linette. The American plays her second match on Wednesday. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payments for 18 months, interest-free, and be entered to win your purchase up to $5,000 on furniture and home decor. Find Sit and Sleep next to Planet Fitness in South Edmonton Common.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
You're tuned into the Nielson Show, presented by Southport Chevrolet here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, coming to you live from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Always hot in here, and no lines as well for that delicious chicken. You can hear us on the iHeart TuneIn radio app, streaming, and of course on YouTube. Let's change 200 by the end of this puppy. Hey, we're at 186, easily attainable. And if you haven't already, hit the sub. The drive for 10,000 continues. Just a little bite here at a time on each and every show. So if you know somebody with an account that hasn't already, just swipe their phone, go on their computer, do whatever you got to do, hit the sub, and you can be on your way. Lieutenant Eric walking Gage in for Dustin Nielsen this morning. Zach him behind the monitors, and we are now joined by Marshall Ferguson. He was on the scene in Montreal. He had the call. Elks and Alouettes to wrap up the week it was in the CFL. Marshall, I appreciate your time. Running a little late. Won't keep you too long today, but I want to get your thoughts before the game and all the action. What's it like doing a game with Paul Lapalisse? Because no offense to my usual co-host here, Dusty, and he has a great call and they're fun. But you and Lapo in the booth, my brain just expands in size by the end of the game with the two of you and how you break down the game. But what's it like being in the booth with Coach Lapo there?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I also apologize for being in the car while I'm doing this because I dropped my little man off and I'm running around doing errands before I have to do all the other stuff leading into Labor Day, which is going to be crazy. But yeah, calling a game with Lapo is a pretty cool experience because there was a sequence at the end of the second quarter, I want to say, in that Edmonton-Montreal game where Edmonton's running game was getting going. And as a former quarterback, my eyes can identify what is happening in the running game. But Lapo, it's almost like if you see a painting and you go, yeah, that's a painting. And then Lapo's like, no, let me tell you about the art. And then he goes in depth into exactly what's happened. And he drew up 3 or 4 of those running concepts in such a clean way that as he was doing it, I'm standing there as the play-by-play guy. And just, I was enamored with it because I was thinking nobody else could no offense to Suits or Dwayne or anybody else, but it's like, Lapo has literally been drawing lines on pieces of paper his whole life.
Yeah.
So he does that on a telestrator. It's not, okay, a little scribble here, a little scribble there, and yeah, they ran the ball up in the inside. It's like, no, it's the right guard and right tackle are going to work a double. They're going to get to the second level, then they're going to go over here, and then they're going to get up. It's like when he draws that up, and he's like, it's a kick out, it's a seal there, when he does that, I'm standing in the booth and I'm just a fan. It's kind of cool to get to watch it in real time because I'm actually watching him draw, and then I'm seeing what he's drawing on his monitor, and I'm like, damn, he nailed that. I'm like,
with the art
he
comparison
did that better than
too.
I think anybody could. So
it kind of reminds me, you're real close to one of those 3D art pictures, and Lapo takes, stand back a couple of steps, and then you see the whole thing kind of materialize in front of you. I wanted to get Marshall your again, you were there, you had the call.
He is an artist.
Yeah, painting a nice picture, but you had the call. All we're talking about is the third quarter, and you saw it there live. We had the stats in game and the yardage. I want to get to this, and Dave Campbell, who covers the Elks for 630 Ched, he put out a series of tweets yesterday just going over a deep dive into the last 5 third quarters for this football team. It has become a disgusting habit. Outscored 50-0, allowing an average of 163 yards of offense, and have produced an average of 41.6. I'll just stop it there because I think that hurts enough. What are you seeing? What did you see that day? And what do you make of this number overall? And again, this kind of Jarius Jackson time, he's interim head coach. Is it lack of adjustments? Is it maybe credit to the opposition making those adjustments? How do you kind of score this one? Because these numbers, I don't know how you get any more lopsided than this.
Yeah, the trend as a whole, I would say, is obviously pretty concerning. I think in Montreal specifically, they're a very good third quarter team, and I love that we caught this. And Franklin Rubenstein, who is our beloved director for so many games that I work, Rube, he he absolutely knows where to go with what shot and when. Like he is incredible at getting the right things that can tell the story for us to be able to kind of narrate. And he got a shot going into halftime of Noel Thorpe already on the whiteboard before they went into the locker room. And I'm looking at it, and he was literally drawing up A gap, B gap, C gap on each side and figuring out, okay, if I go with this front, then how are they going to match up? Where are they trying to run the football? Well, if they do this certain running play they've had success with that Lapo's drawn up in this game, it's like, well, if they do that, how can I answer it? So I just think Montreal dug their heels in at home and showed the quality of football team that they are. Because, like, obviously Edmonton has been hot and they've had those 3 straight victories going into that game. But the big thing to me was this whole year, Montreal has been quality. Like, from start to finish, being 10-1 at this point. The one loss that they had, you're sitting at home, and it's a loss that they probably feel as though they shouldn't have gone through. But to have Montreal basically just decide at halftime, okay, here's what's wrong with the offense, we're going to fix it. Here's what's wrong with the defense so far, let's find some answers. They found answers, and I think that's just because Montreal is that good. But, I mean, yeah, if Edmonton wants to do anything this year other than continue to fade, they're going to have to sort out that third quarter, because the most amount of points are scored when you look at it across the entire league, first quarter and fourth quarter. But games are often decided second quarter, third quarter. So teams are all fired up about the start of games, and they're all fired up to try and go and get the victory in the fourth quarter. But the teams that actually win the games are the ones that do really, really well in the second and the third, because they basically just dominate the meat of the game, right? The middle of things. So if Edmonton's not going to get better at that, that's going to be an issue.
Marshall, I want to go out west a little bit, and I was looking at an article this morning about, and we're no strangers to it here, and to some respect, but Vernon Adams looks like he's getting ready to come back. Nathan Rourke looked better in his second appearance, I think. Is there going to be a big decision to have to be made out in BC to who starts this the Labor Day game?
See, it's a great question, and I've thought about this a little bit over the last couple of days as well. There's so many interesting dynamics at play, like Nathan's connection to Victoria going into Touchdown Pacific. To me, that screams there's absolutely no way he's not getting played in that football game, because you need to give him a player the caliber of his ability. You have to give him an opportunity to go out and play in that place, in that event, for Amar Doman, who's a fantastic owner, who's gone above and beyond to bring him back into the fold in the CFL. But then you're like, it's not the usual conversation of, Trevor Harris isn't playing all that well, but it's only Shea Patterson behind him, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like in Edmonton, thankfully you have McLeod Bethel-Thompson, then it's like, well, Trey Ford has a lot of upside. There's not a lot of teams where you can honestly say the backup has a ton of upside. The backup at BC is the MOP frontrunner, kind of still, right? And so it's such a strange one, because based on the game, the location, allowing a quarterback to get into rhythm who's as good as Nathan, you want to say there's absolutely no chance. But to me, this honestly screams Rick Campbell, and I could be wrong on this. He could be honestly looking at options of how they're going to handle it, but it just screams he's trying to motivate Nathan and to tell him, hey, you're not invincible. Like, this is your job. Yes, we have brought you back and you are under a contract, but in the short term, if you need more time to get up to speed, we have a really, really good quarterback sitting right there on the bench. So I would be surprised if Nathan doesn't play in that game. I think it's a little bit of posturing to try and get that team going, and maybe even make the entire locker room realize that nobody is untouchable, because that tends to motivate people pretty well. But yeah, I think Nathan is the starter. I think Nathan's going to continue to play. The thing that's crazy to me, and I understand you need 2 quarterbacks to win in the CFL, but the amount of value that BC could probably get right now for a Vernon Adams Jr. trade.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you could rinse somebody if you wanted, like, their next 2 first-round picks. I mean, I always overestimate quarterback trade value in the CFL, because I think highly of these guys. And when you typically look at it, it's like a starting quarterback in the CFL just goes for next year's first-round pick typically, right? But for me, I'm like, the way VA was playing in BC, if you're a team that goes through an injury before the trade deadline here, or you just feel like you could upgrade, I don't know if that's like Calgary, like at the St. Peters, if Dave Dickinson was like, man, if I could get VA in here, maybe as much as I like Jake, maybe that's an upgrade. If you were to make a move like that, man, you could probably get 2 first-round picks and a couple of players, in my opinion. So it's wild to me that BC appears like they're just going to stand pat and hang out with both of them and see where they can get with them.
Marshall, we enter Labor Day weekend, and again, sticking in the West, just a log jam, very fascinating. standings aside, I guess, how would you power rank the West right now heading into Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought very highly of the Riders throughout the entirety of the year. I think that they're still right there. Their defense and Corey Mace being the one who's calling the shots and designing that thing, I think that's the difference maker. Because I mean, there's been moments offensively, but I don't think it's been as consistent as you'd like. I think at this point, seeing Winnipeg coming back to form, I'm not ready to throw them up near the top, but I do think you'd probably have to put Sask Winnipeg kind of in that 2-3 slot. I do think the best team in the West right now is BC, even though their record's not showing it. They're not playing like it. I think long term, and I know that's not typically how power rankings work, is because you go in the moment. But I think in terms of the output that we will see by the end of the year, it'll be BC, then one of Sask Winnipeg, and then Calgary to me is a ton of potential, a little bit underwhelming, so I would put them in that 4 spot. And then I think Edmonton is still at the bottom. And the biggest thing for me with Edmonton is this is a league where you have to win a lot of one-possession games. They're 0-7 in one-possession games. So if you're not going to be able to finish the deal, I don't care whether it's McLeod or Trey or Jarrett Daggy or me off the street, you need to have a quarterback who can go and finish games for you and close things out. So if they can't do that, then they're going to stay at the bottom of the power rankings in the West, I think, for the time being.
Marshall, I'm going to ask you to put on your racing helmet here for a quick second. First, maybe afterwards, you can tell me how that bike ride went. But F1 in Zandvoort, looking at the rest of the season here, I do think that this Constructors Championship is up for grabs with any of these top kind of 4 teams. But do you think that there is a possibility that we get down to maybe the last 3 races of the season here, and there could be maybe a change in the Drivers' Championship, or is something really drastic have to happen to Max?
Yeah, I think this goes back to like months ago, right, with the Christian Horner stuff, where we were looking at it and saying like something just kind of seems off in Red Bull. And I don't think that they've like stopped having upgrades or developing their car at all because there's been some turmoil within. But like when you have something that's going as well as Red Bull with Max Verstappen, it's crazy to see, Adrian Newey's going here and they lose this person from the background, and their engine experts now going to this team. And once you start to see all of that, you kind of read between the lines and you go, okay, if people are getting picked up elsewhere, it's because they're very talented and good at what they do, but also it's like that speaks to don't really want to be here. And you hear some of Max's radio calls as well, and it just kind of seems like his dad is always making comments in the media, whether it's in person or getting leaked, where it's like he is super frustrated by things. So I think Max is frustrated. I think he's hit a bit of a wall at Red Bull, which I didn't see coming. I thought this was going to be one of those like 7-8 year runs that we always see in Formula One of just like, there's the dominant guy and everybody else is fighting for number 2. I'm super, super impressed by McLaren and how they've been able to change that car and being able to upgrade things in a way that is making them extremely competitive on a variety of different types of circuits too. I think that's a big thing we always forget about. Could we see a change in the Drivers' Championship? I think it'll get close. And then it really comes down to, how does McLaren work as a manufacturer together as a team? Because I think the strength of 2 McLarens being up near the top of Piastri and Lando is better than the strength of Max just being frustrated and doing everything by himself.
Marshall Ferguson, TSN. Where can we find you this weekend, Labor Day weekend? What do you got the call, if and when anywhere during the games happening both out in the East and the West?
Well, speaking of the bike trip that was mentioned there, I just came home yesterday from 3,000 kilometers on a Honda Africa Twin down into the bottom of Vermont, all the way up to the top to Montreal and then back to Hamilton. So I'm actually going on the bike tomorrow to voice some Canadian Superbike races. And then on the weekend, we have our 6th and final Canadian Superbike Championship weekend, which is going to be at Shannonville Motorsport Park over near Belleville. I'm there with my little man Noah until Sunday night. And then we haul ass back to Hamilton because I got the Argos and the Ticats on Monday. So, I'm going to be prepping next to a racetrack all weekend long and then driving down the 401, getting to Hamilton, and then straight to Ticats Argos mode. But very, very thankful to have a Labor Day game. I've never had one before, so it should be exciting.
Sweet.
Well, congrats. You're a multi-tool player. I just want to get to this. We're having our Edmonton Sports Talk Awards mid-September. Bones texts in, my vote for Guest of the Year, Ferguson. Kills it 75% of the time, every time. So take that what you will. We appreciate your time this morning, Marshall. Enjoy the biking, the football, the racing, the whole bit, and appreciate your time, man.
Hey, man, if my gas tank was 75% full most of the time, or my phone is 75% battery half the time, that works for me. I'm good. I appreciate it. Awesome. We'll talk to you soon, guys.
TSN's Marshall Ferguson there. You can find him. CFL on TSN. And again, him and Lapo in the booth, just an encyclopedic knowledge of breaking down the game, the X's and O's and all that.
Who texted that in?
Bones.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I go, oh, yeah, an ESTY for video call-in guest. He's got to be up there.
Good-looking cat.
Yep.
He's got the car thing. I think somebody in the nasty chat said, no seatbelt, rockstar move, that type of thing. So, and again, the audio actually, we had a bit of a hiccup early on, Zach, but we rode through that, the choppy waters. It was good. So, yeah, always love a good chat with Marsh. And again, both the CFL and a little racing as well. Guy gets around. So, appreciate Bones for that text as well. We'll throw his name in the hat. I do believe, though, Big Maple still stands. It's still getting texts of the day, Big Maple, as we head into the wrap here for William Huff, Lieutenant Eric, Walking Gauge, Zacticum holding it down behind the monitors today.
Hey, all right.
Yes, we were sitting at 195 there for a bit. Are we fully passed, hey? Not on the nose. Yeah, 201. Perfect. Good. That's what we set out to do. And hopefully a few more subs as well, adding to the sub in the pursuit of 10,000 this morning. But into the wrap for William Huff. I know they hang out coming up next. Jasmine in the bullpen here. Ironic. They're having a good laugh. So those two. Tom Gazzola will be in as well. Looking forward to that. That's 9 to 11 here on Edmonton Sports Talk today. But the wrap for William Huff, if you want your place to look as good as ours, visit the team, WilliamHuff.com. They also did the big wrap of the Dusty Night down Commonwealth there in the thing. I'm doing a little grab-ass action, I guess, if you stand behind me at a certain angle. Have a little laugh. In business since 1952, so you know they're incredible at what they do. WilliamHuff.com. Gentlemen, what did we learn on the show this morning? If anything. Sometimes it's not educational.
I learned that Maddie actually listens to when I talk on here because he stopped and waved. And I made fun of him because he kind of comes in all brooding.
He's not a morning guy.
He's not. I know he's not. But he made the effort to stop, turn, Queen's wave, smile. Kudos to Maddie.
Then he noticed when I saw it too, he gave me a little wave.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Hey, but when someone doesn't do something and then they do it, it warms the heart, the cockles.
Well, yeah, and again, the listening that he's picking up the details, reading between the lines. I learned your experience at Metallica, which again, let's be better. Let's be better, people.
Let's hope Pink's. I'm assuming Pink will be a lot better. I'm actually looking forward to Pink.
Maybe it's more like cerebral in that sense, but that's going to be a good show as well. Great weather again for that one.
I know,
judging by the forecast.
I know, it's crazy.
Holy heck, summer ain't over yet, and those Wasps will be loving it. And we learned Zach had the kaleidoscope of a Seahawks. I've never seen that Seahawks jersey. I'll never see it again, probably, unless you're done.
I have another one. I have a Marshawn Lynch one, almost
Same
just
type
like
of
it.
style?
I think so, yeah. No, maybe a little bit different, but if I wore this again, you'll see it again. But this is one of a kind for sure. I learned today, I already knew that Marshall Ferguson was a badass. But to bike 3,000 miles or kilometers, whatever it was, to bike that far, do that, call biking, and then he said haul ass all the way back to just call the Argos game is fantastic. Like, shout out to him.
And his first Labor Day, too, for, a guy from that area of the world, and that's going to be a special day for him.
He's our Jax Teller.
And I, like... Whether or not the Ticats are in it or the Argos, but that battle between those two,
yeah,
there's always a helmet swinging or an executive getting into a fight on the sidelines, a la John Murphy. But text of the day this morning for A&W as well. Once again, you know the deal. Read it earlier today, but a hell of a deal as well. In this economy, $12.49. The Mama Burger combo. You get a Mama Burger fries and a regular root beer, plus the Kids Buddy Burger combo. Side of apple slices, made good granola bar, and a milk to go. $12.49 for the two of those right now. So $20 to A&W for text of the day. It's going out to Big Maple today, and I know now we're going to be recording the texts, I think, putting them into the database, as we should. But EST should hire Mike Babcock on a one-day deal to stand at the entrance of West Edmonton Mall. That should push us well over $10K with the way he takes people's phones. Just real good.
Well done.
He ain't lying. That'd be a path to victory.
That's what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's out there in PA taking iPhones right now.
Take it as we speak. What else do we have here? Okay, yeah. People are very anxious for the hangout today. Ironic, as I mentioned, Jasmine in as well.
DVD
in. Nice to see DVD again. Does Tom show up yet? I was just asking. 8:54 here on the Nielsen Show. Still a little early. Lots of time. What else do we got here? A few other texts rolling in, but thanks so much for everybody listening this morning. iHeart TuneIn Radio app, and of course, always watching on YouTube.
And great to see you again, buddy. Glad to be back with you.
Thank you. Give me some of that right there. Yeah. God, I love you. And hey, what are you trying here too? I missed out on this. This was part of the beer of the week, I think.
Well, I was thinking of your lovely wife, Danny, with so this is a Talus sparkling hop water, which is actually good for digestion, like hops and things like that. So non-alcoholic.
Love it.
And we used it as a palate cleanser, actually.
Sparkling water, that takes you back to Europe days, eh?
I love the sparkling water.
Dying of a hangover. I just want a glass of water and everything's
I still remember the sparkling water in Russia. It was just explosive. Like, it was crazy. Look who's here.
Right, Belsy.
Hey,
and
Belsy's
again, we
here.
were talking about you on... You're nominated for Gutsiest Performance of the Year, Bell on Hangout after a local tournament. Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So, yes... We went over 2 categories today. Once again, the ESTYs, Tuesday, September 17. Tickets still available, $10. Black tie event. You can email matt@edmontonsportstalk.com. You won't want to miss this. It'll be fun. Red carpet event. You know how we do. The EST Classic, the Nasty Bash, all those things. We're going to have a good time. You don't want to miss out on this puppy. Tuesday, September 17th. We went over Event of the Year this morning, in which the nominees, I guess, would be NFL Watch Party at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, the Super Bowl at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, the EST Classic Golf Tournament, the Nasty Bash out at the St. Albert Rugby and Football Club, and Oilers Watch Party at Hudson's. Need a specific one, but they were all good as well. We also went over the Gutsiest Performance of the Year, to which YouTube Trev, 2 nominees. During the heat wave, not being able to sleep, and Jason Milne getting him the AC, which is a good dovetail to that whole tale. And YouTube Trev following Game 7 loss in the Stanley Cup Final. Myself after the Super Bowl at Century Casino, Dustin after the Super Bowl at Century Casino, and Belsy here, who will also be on the Hangout today, after a local hockey tournament. So once again, 2 more categories down today. That's kind of going to be the taste at the ESTYs Tuesday, September 17th. We'll have another category tomorrow. I believe a couple categories tomorrow, as Dusty will return to the show as well. Zactium.
Great job.
5 stars, 2 thumbs up. I don't know what else we got to do. If I had a trophy, I'd give it to you. I'll give you one of those as well, a little conch there. But thanks so much for keeping everything locked down, the music, the tunes, and all that. And Gager, congrats again on the show. I can't wait. I know my wife can't wait. She's looking forward to this one. You and her, Nan, it's going to be electric. It's going to be hot.
You tell your wife.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Happy Tombstone Tuesday to you and yours. Thank you so much for listening to the Nielsen Show, brought to you by Southport Chevrolet. Want to thank our guests as well, Tim Hauraney, Josh Klingler, Chiefs Radio Network, and Marshall Ferguson, CFL on TSN. Hangout coming up next. Keep it on autoplay on YouTube. You'll be sent right over for Zactium, Walking Gage, and Dustin Nielsen. I'm Lieutenant Eric. Have a great afternoon.